Final day of practice over at St. John Fisher is in the books for the Buffalo Bills. And before the Bills even took the field this morning, they did also have some housekeeping done. Right guard Osiris Torrance is signing a 4-year, $78.4 million extension. We are still waiting on official confirmation from the team, but following practice today, General Manager Brandon Beane confirmed that the deal was happening and that they hope to announce it by later today. Up next, though, for the Bills, tomorrow night is the return of the blue and red practice over at Highmark Stadium at 7 p.m. Do stay tuned tomorrow night, starting at 6 and going until 10. Brad Ryder is going to be on the air as fans get their first taste of the new stadium. And stay tuned, we'll get the latest on it today. Sal Capaccio will join the show at 5. And coverage of training camp on WGR is presented by Fiegel Car and Joyce, your border attorneys, by Outlet Liquor. When you need to stock up, it's the place to buy a case. What's your outlet? And by the Barnes Firm. Car crash, you've got to call the Barnes Firm, 1-800-8-MILLION. Bison's home tonight versus Norfolk. First pitch at 6:35. Blue Jays are at Philadelphia at 6:40. At the same time, Mets are at Pittsburgh, while at 7:05, the Yankees, they will host the Atlanta Braves. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet with you for the extra mile since 1935. I'm Zach Jones for Western New York's Voice of the Fan, WGR.
My dad's not here right now. He's still at work. So I'm going to blast him.
Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
I'm going to see if there's a clean version so that my parents and the people at my school will not get mad at me. We've got the spritzer filled with water, just in case if stuff gets too fire. I'm going to set up the speaker, and I'm going to listen to
Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
I think this is the best
Mike Schopp
feature that I've heard in a long time. I think his flow is really good in it, and I like his aggressiveness on it, and
the Bulldog.
Put not enough effort in it. I think overall his flow was good, but I don't like that mumble rapping. That was my review of
Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
Didn't need the spritzer. Wasn't fire enough. No spritzer for you. No spritzer.
Okay, happy Friday. Should be fun. Sam Panayottovich, he's ready. Poolside.
Oh, yeah.
He's ready.
Yep.
Scott Barrett today. Fantasy points and also Sal Capaccio. I promised Sam, just checking in. I like to check in. I think so do you. Every Friday morning, like, are we good? What do you want? He often will suggest. And I promised him. He said he wasn't doing great. He said he was hanging on.
Yes, I got a
Vegas.
He sent me a text saying similar. Like, I think it was actually a tweet that he sent out. Like, I'm on a 5-day trip here in Vegas, and I'm about to go to a 5-hour pool party, and like I'm wheezing.
Yeah. So don't miss that in about half an hour,
Right.
a little less.
Which one I told him that we're going in October for 4 days, which, maybe we'll suffer a similar fate. Who knows?
Who knows? I promised him only softball questions today,
Okay.
Considering his condition. Did you do any more Vegas research today?
No, I did not. I will eventually get around to seeing what else is happening in town after my discovery of Metallica being at the Sphere 2 of the 4 nights we're going to be there. But the tickets are just they're out of reach entirely for me. So, but I'm sure I'll find something else to do while you are playing Baccarat or whatever you're going to do.
Baccarat. You really can't expect to do well playing all day and all night. Really, you got to get out.
Yeah.
When you get up, you get out. Penn and Teller caught my eye today. I mean, they've been there forever.
Yeah.
At the Rio. The last time I was at the Rio, they were there, I think. Like 22 years ago or something. Penn and Teller. $62.
Nothing about that is surprising. And that sounds like someone who's done 50,000 shows in Las Vegas.
I mean, what a deal.
It only costs $62.
I would love it. And by the way, at the Sphere, those days when Metallica is performing at night, they have shows during the day.
I saw, it took me a while to find the Metallica dates. I was just looking at a calendar. I didn't go in and I didn't want to go. I didn't know who to go. I don't know who. I knew the Eagles are doing a thing there at some point or another, but I didn't want to just pick an. So I just went through the calendar and there was like a million Wizard of Oz shows.
Wizard of Oz. I was going to tell you, that's what it is, the Wizard of Oz.
Shows.
I think it's the movie.
This is nothing but Wizard of Oz shows. Yeah, I have no idea what it is, but I mean, I have no...
I don't think it's a
like a
Theatrical
live production or something?
I think it's the movie.
Oh well, I'll bet those tickets are cheap.
$100.
Okay, so it's just an opportunity. Really, you're paying $100 to get in the Sphere.
To see the Wizard of Oz.
At the Sphere, like to experience the Sphere without having to pay $1,500 to see a rock band or some stage show that the tickets would be in more demand, I imagine.
Yeah.
So I wonder what an immersive 360-degree Wizard of Oz experience would be like.
I think I would love it. The tornado stuff. Everything's blowing around like you just sort of like this.
Yeah.
I think I would love the Wizard of Oz in the Sphere. Thought about it. Didn't buy anything, so
Okay, all right.
feel like I want to work together on this.
Yes. I'm not as interested in that as you are.
Okay, well, we're never going to be equal.
And that is not to say that I'm closed off entirely and that I don't think I would enjoy it, but I might rather devote my time to something.
I don't expect to buy a ticket for the Wizard of Oz at the Sphere. I don't expect to actually invest in that.
All right.
But I think I would like it.
All right.
It's at the other end of Vegas from where we are. It's all the way down, isn't it?
I'm not exactly sure where it's located, but
I think it's all the way at the south end.
yeah, and we're
Not positive.
and we're in Old Town. Is
Yes.
where we're going. Right. I've been to Vegas twice. Neither time did we venture to the old part of the town.
I loved it up there. This was 25 years ago. Also, there's that big white, maybe not anymore, the big white tent that covers the main intersection. Like you're sort of indoors, but you're not. And it's got to be different. The Gold Nugget, I think, is still there. But those old casinos where you're just not, well, it's so easy. Everything I am going to say is going to make me sound so old. But like, in the newer places, even then, it was so easy to get lost. Mm-hmm. And it's just so glitzy and almost like, ugh.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll play cards, but I don't really love the scene here. I feel like knowing like who I am, I feel like very much an outsider and uncomfortable in a lot of the newer places. But then my friends and I went up there one night back then, and it was the best. I mean, street performers and the table minimums were lower. It just felt more like
a place you could
it was more relatable.
I don't know, thrive is exactly the word I want, but like more comfortable. Sure.
I didn't resent it. I didn't feel like I was out of my league.
Well, I'll bet it has changed because I just read a little bit about someone who Sam told me to go Google, and this guy and his brother, Derek Stevens, and his brother bought a couple of the old properties and have turned that into the place we're going.
Okay.
Circa, so that we're staying Circa. Really, the people, that's who's behind this whole thing for us.
And that's Circa is big time.
Yeah.
Like so.
But they're in the old.
Sure, it's a lot different.
They took over a couple of places and turned it into one big place.
Circa swim. Yeah. You're going to want to swim.
No, I'm not.
That weekend. Yes, you are. That's what everybody does. You're going to want to get in that pool. And bet on football. Bet on college football. Starting at 8 in the morning on Saturday. You're going to be in the pool the whole day betting on, well, maybe one of us.
I do not anticipate being in a pool.
Well, it's free.
I mean, I'll come prepared, but I doubt I'm going to be like, I can't wait to get to that pool.
Memories are flooding back. Not so much of the last few times I went when I just went alone and drafted and then did this show with you from there.
Right.
But like, with my wife going, my one friend was into this, I think it was MGM, but maybe not. Like there was this naked area.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, not.
We're not doing that. I'm not going to pressure you to do that.
No. Thank you.
I will not
Good.
force you into that.
Yeah.
Just say, I'll say that now.
Right. I don't want to go to the pool at the place I'm staying, let alone take an Uber to some other place to go crash the pool scene that's maybe partially or all naked.
Yeah. No. Okay.
No.
Okay.
But,
got a couple months to think about it.
Not going to cut it for me. Yeah.
So why not? There's another round of Josh Allen versus Patrick Mahomes today. Bill Barnwell.
Oh, there is. I know. I did not see.
I think we both do our best to sort of avoid it, right? Or no?
I wouldn't say I avoided. I didn't see it. I did my usual thing today. I just didn't come across anything from Barnwell today.
I have never had the first impulse to really like debate it. And I'll tell you why. Because I think not that, and a lot of people will do it. I mean, I think maybe if you polled 100 analysts, more would put Allen number one than would put Mahomes right now. I think that that's sort of in vogue. But I have no appetite at all to debate it when one guy has been to 5 Super Bowls and the other guy's been to none.
Yeah, that's pretty much it for me too. And so I don't really care how brilliantly or in some novel way you can make the case. That scoreboard is heavily tilted in one direction to me.
And I think that is itself worth analyzing, because I don't claim to be QB wins guy at all. I don't claim to be anybody that's sort of like, well, you couldn't be the best quarterback in the league if you hadn't been to one, or you hadn't won one, or whatever it is. So I want to be fair about it. It's just like, it's 5-0. You know, what one guy has come to define the era through his greatness and team success, and the other guy, who might be better in a vacuum, might be better, has not. I mean, he has. I don't think Josh Allen is known for failures at all. I don't even think he is on the level that Manning was. I don't think Manning, when he couldn't get through New England, which lasted about as long as this has lasted. I mean, Manning comes in the league in '98.
We're a couple of years past it now. 2 years ago, when they hosted. No, the AFC title game year was it. If they had beaten Mahomes and the Chiefs in the second meeting they had in AFC title games, it would have matched how long it took Manning to get past Brady in that spot.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
Manning's in the league in '98, and that's 06 when they win, so 8 years. And that would have been, right? Or this is 9 now, so right around there.
Yeah.
Yes. So, I mean, Manning was blamed for their losses. It was like Belichick owns him, and Brady is better because Brady has been to 3 and won 3, and you can't get to a single one. Then he does, and then there's still more of that. Brady and the Patriots have their second act when they beat Seattle and the Rams and Atlanta, like another 3 wins there in short order, and Manning eventually goes to Denver and wins in Denver and then retires. I don't know. I know a lot of people enjoy it and want to stick up for Allen, which I think is totally fine and fair to do. I mean, in individually, 1 versus 1, you could say it. I mean, it's not controversial even, I think, to say that Allen is the better player, has been the better player.
If you had a quarterback Olympics and you were going to like measure, distance, velocity, throwing the ball, running, jumping, all that stuff, I think Allen probably wins enough of those events. I don't know, how many events I need to create for something that's never going to happen here, but I could listen to Allen is the superior athlete at the position, and even has like the bigger arm, the strong, all of that. But that's not how I'm going to decide which guy is the better quarterback.
There are certain things for me that I might think about it. I might talk about it privately, but I just don't want to be heard saying it, like whatever it might be. And when Mahomes has been to 5 and won 3, I just feel like you got to be kidding me with anybody else comes in on top, even Lamar Jackson. And, that is tough to say too. I saw Barnwell's thing, and Nick Wright responded with how he thought it was ridiculous to put Allen first. And then Barnwell couldn't help himself but for love hearing how much I hate the Chiefs after picking them to win the Super Bowl 6 years in a row. Like, give me a break. I think the takeaway is that's interesting, and this is a little bit how I felt talking about running backs and money the last few days. Like, you can have a position, but I think there comes a point at which you need to bend.
Mm-hmm.
And, all right, don't pay running backs means what? Don't pay them anything? Minimum, or else I don't want you? only the minimum? No, I mean, that's not
Right.
reasonable. You find a middle ground, or you find some place where you don't think you're getting completely crushed by paying your running back a lot. It's interesting how it's sort of spiked through James Cook to these guys now, but the cap is always going up, and they're the face of your franchise. You do it.
I think the exercise that needs to be undertaken, or probably will be, or maybe already has been, I don't know, these guys have just signed really this week, the three running backs this week, right? It was Robinson, Taylor, and then Gibbs yesterday, is how much is the top, or those top running back salaries, how much are they lagging behind wide receiver still? Because wide receivers, $40 million has kind of become a benchmark there, it feels like, and 30 was the benchmark like while Diggs was here, right? So running backs are getting paid more, but everyone's getting paid more. Guards, we found out today, are all getting paid more. Like everyone, the cap goes up. That's how the business works. So proportionally, I wonder how much running back is still, it might be the same percentage they're lagging behind, either average salary or the top 5 at the position or something, might still be the same percentage behind that they've been through the last 10 years while we were on the don't pay run. Maybe. I don't know that. I haven't done the work.
One thing that's pushed running backs up, I saw this before Gibbs, so maybe now it would be of the top 6 and not the top 5 running backs in terms of either average annual value or total guaranteed money, one of the two, probably. That one thing that's pushed that up is 2 of the top 5 or 6 now probably are rookies or on rookie deals because they were drafted so early. Mm-hmm. Jeremiah Love went 3rd. What was Genty? 5th. So their draft status was so high that they were locked in.
Yeah, their average salaries to start are higher than a lot of running backs who are on their second contracts.
Yeah, so I guess that's another example, perhaps, of why you don't pay them or draft them that early, rather.
Right.
But you've got that now, and as you said, you've got Bijan, you've got Gibbs today, you've got Jonathan Taylor.
Well, the league has also changed, and that's an acknowledgement of that. I think like the whole don't pay running backs thing started when they simply, I think, schematically, like game plan wise, weren't as important as your passing game. But with the defenses, like this is the yin and yang of pro football. Like we had a 2020 through 22, 23. It was, Mahomes showed up and it's just, oh my gosh, 4 touchdowns a game, like, almost on the regular. Yeah. And once that started, defenses figured out a way to try to neutralize that to some extent. All right, how else am I going to do this? Well, here comes the running game. And so with it sort of being brought back in as more than just a sidecar to your offense, the guys they matter more. They're getting paid more.
Yeah, so in this example, I mean, you pay them. Do you want to pay your running back the highest running back dollars in the league? No, not ideally, but it's just there's a little bit of a give to that, and you don't want necessarily your position to just be like never, ever, ever. Circumstances. Think about Cook. I mean, how do you remember it? 2 years ago, I think most fans probably thought, or analysts even thought, he might have been a little bit early to, it's time for me to get my money. But he got his money.
It wasn't. It was just last summer.
Last summer.
But
we talked about it.
That's right. Going into the year. That's right. Yep.
Led the league in touchdowns, or shared the league lead in touchdowns, franchise record. All right. Well, going into next year, but he struck, and he got his money. It wasn't even that arduous. I mean, it was.
No,
he missed spring and early summer.
A little bit of hold in, whatever, but it wasn't
long.
Yeah.
Got his money and then had a great season again. So there's that. And that's what I think is kind of the QB wins thing is, all right, well, I don't want to hear, this goes back a long time, longer for me than the running back thing does. I don't want to hear about quarterback A is better than B because his team wins more often, just like simple as that. Their defense is better. Their surrounding talent may be better. Their coaches their franchise sort of like the foundation is stronger. more of a reputation for winning. Like, I don't want to distract myself in this debate with all of that. Like, that's not fair to the other guy. There's always this in sports. Somebody who might have been not the best ever, but somebody great, but they're just sort of trapped in this organization or situation where there's just no hope for them. I'm not saying that, like, J.P. Lossman would have been the best ever, but, if he's drafted, if anything's different, the rest can be different too. So QB wins. Well, that's not where we start, I think, to have an intelligent debate about who's better than whom. But at some point, it gets to be, hands up. I don't want to fight for the guy who hasn't, whether that's Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen.
Right.
I don't want to fight for the guy that hasn't been when that guy's been 5 times.
Right. It's not like it's one or even two. It's 5.
And you both had head-to-head chances in close games.
Right.
Is it their fault?
Right.
I'm not going that far, but is what it is.
We've argued for a few years now about having the ball last, opportunity to win the game and not coming through. It might be that Patrick Mahomes owned Sean McDermott more than he owns Josh Allen. He when he had opportunities at the end of games, he's come through, and our guy hasn't. And in some way, like without. I don't prefer someone ahead of Josh Allen other than Mahomes. So I don't want to ding him too hard, but I also want to acknowledge, like, if Mahomes has the ball in that situation, they're beating you. He's done it numerous times, and we have not. And so I don't know. That's Steve Spagnuolo versus Sean McDermott, and that's where you can circle back to, well, it's still because my defense can't stop him. And, like, I don't know. I think if I've got a guy that's as good as Allen, they shouldn't be able to stop me either. Like, that's the game to an extent. So I'm a little harder on him, I think, about some of the playoff losses than a lot of Bills fans. And I think a part of that, even though people don't want to cop to it, is that you buy his jersey and it's easier to blame the coach. You love Allen, and Allen is more important. He's the most important figure in the franchise since he got here, and there's no debating that to me. Maybe you could argue that Reed is more important than McDermott was to the Chiefs' success with Mahomes because he's an offensive guy and like that all work. But like, I can only get so far, and that's why I would never even try to assert that Allen belongs ranked above Mahomes in any way, shape, or form. Because head-to-head in playoff games, the results are the results, and that's not all because of 13 seconds.
0-4.
It's not like that was a glaring, awful, almost impossible to overcome wound that we all suffered. But every other game hasn't been that.
No, I mean, Allen was maybe never better than that second half or that fourth quarter. That lingers, and I think allows for the whole point to get overstated to an extent. But yeah, I mean, he deserved to win that game with no question. You leave the field having taken the lead with 13 seconds. I'm sorry, you should be able to get that game parked in the garage, and they didn't. And that is on the coaches. But I don't know. The other ones aren't, to me, as glaring. Osiris Torrance gets paid. We'll talk about that. Sal Capaccio will join us later in the day. Some fantasy football today with Scott Barrett of Fantasy Points. His new big book is out previewing the season. I mean, it's definitely that time of year. Like it or not.
Are you talking to me?
Yes.
I'm fine. I like football season.
Yes. Whether you want to draft Isaiah Likely in round 10, that might be for me to answer, but maybe not. Sure, you'll have a take on it. Next, though, Sam Panayotovich. Again, Sam struggling a little bit on a Vegas trip. That can happen. So we promised him only softball questions today. Stay tuned for that. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here. Happy Friday. This is WGR.
For more comfort, Now's the perfect time to make yourself comfortable with a new electric heating and cooling system from Belknap.
In Western New York, summer and winter bring extreme temperature conditions. Make yourself comfortable with Mitsubishi electric heat pumps, designed to keep your home cool in the summer and warm in the winter, no matter how hot or cold it gets outside. Call Belknap today to learn more.
I'm Gary Garfalo, president of Belknap. We work on your schedule. We don't charge more for weekends and evenings. That's why we say,
give Belknap a ring.
game on the line. King, he's going to step up. Pumps, runs, goal line. Is he in? Yes! Carolina wins! Canes King! King of the night!
Okay.
Am I going to get laughed out of the conversation if when Scott Barrett is on with us at 4 o'clock, I ask whether or not Carson Beck gets on people's radar after last night?
No. I'll say it if you don't want to.
No, I will be happy to say it. That's like, just stash him. Who knows?
I think he's probably tough in a league like ours, but
yeah, right, yeah.
I think that's a great night for him.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
And if they're gonna be bad, why not play him?
There was even another 30-yard pass that I think was on the money that got dropped. Like one of his incompletions was not his fault at all.
With us now on the Western Hotline, and we will tiptoe carefully. Sam Panayotovich out in Las Vegas, Fox Chicago, formerly Chicken Dinner, and our friends through Sam and Joe Ostrowski over the years, MGM, all those shows, BetQL. If you really go back
right.
with us,
Yep.
I promise, Sam, only softball questions. Sam, you good?
I'm good. You might have the board guy on the ones and twos, though, because I could only get so far away from the music here at the pool party for my brother's bachelor party, Mike and Bulldog. If there's no proof that I love this show, this is it, right? I mean, this is it.
Yeah.
Well,
I would never doubt it. You have performed admirably. You were in the pouring rain to the point where you almost ruined your phone last week with me. So these things don't get forgotten, Sam.
So, again, yes?
Sorry, Mike. I'm sitting next to a guy about 10 minutes ago. Remember we had this conversation 3 weeks ago about Pete Armstrong for MVP? He's got a ticket. He bet 1,000 at 20-1. And I looked up this morning at the price. Pete Armstrong is now minus 110 to win the MVP. And I think the three of us talked about this 3 weeks ago. Ohtani's probably not going to pitch the rest of the way. So this guy's sitting on a nice ticket at 20-1. PCA is now favored to win the NL MVP.
Pretty good. Well, you sound quite good, Sam, I will say, but I made my announcement and commitment to softball questions. So let's just do that. Number one, how far apart in softball are the bases?
Oh, I have no idea.
That'd be 60 feet. Number two, who ran away with the best record this season in the Professional Softball League? Any idea on that one? No? Softball questions.
The fighting Mike Schopp.
Atlanta Smoke. We can stop. You seem fine. I don't know. You don't want any more softball questions.
I wanted one more. Do you have
No,
one more?
I'm ready to go, Mike. It's early here. It's only 12:30.
According to the PSL website, which team won the fourth most games in the league this season?
Oh, can I phone a friend on that one?
The answer is the
Chattanooga Aces.
Florida Breeze with 2.
Darn it.
I don't know what happened to this league, but 2 was the fourth most wins in the league. That other team won 25. Who was Eddie Feiner?
Is that the backup drummer from Pearl Jam?
Almost. There was Bulldog. You remember the King in his court?
The King in his court. I know the King in his court. I was going to guess that Eddie Feiner has something to do with
He was the king.
He's the king.
He was the king. The king in his
pitcher.
court, a 4-man traveling like the Globetrotters of softball.
Yeah.
And they would book stadiums and just put on a show, I guess. This Eddie Feiner, who died in 2007. All right, that's all I have. I came up with 4 softball questions.
Thanks for making the time today, Sam. See you.
Let me bring you some information because I don't know what just happened. But let me try and pivot here.
Please.
Neither do I, and I'm in the room.
I talked to a guy. I'm staying at Circa for Bet Bash. It's like the annual sports betting conference out here in Vegas. And I asked one of the guys behind the desk yesterday. I said, "What's up on the Bills?" And he said, "Look, every year it's sort of the same story." He goes, "The wise guys come in and they bet the Bills over the regular season win total. They do it every year, last 5 years with Josh Allen." And I said, "Well, what about the future stuff? What about the division? What about the conference? What about the Super Bowl?" He goes, "We don't see any support for them, big picture, from wise guys." So I don't know what that means to you guys, but there's a belief, again, I feel like we have this conversation every year where the sharp money comes in on the Bills to win X amount of games over the total, but then you don't see that support in the long term for the conference, for the Super Bowl. And I guess it makes sense. And then the same guy also told me, the Bills and the Ravens they don't win big games. And I think honestly that's a fair conversation to have.
It has been 7 years now. The Bills have been in the playoffs 7 years in a row and not even made the Super Bowl, of course. Who, if you know, Sam, what do you call them, the wise guys? Who do they like in the AFC? Where is the money going?
Oh, it's Cincinnati, big time.
Okay.
Dexter Lawrence coming across really changed a lot of opinions on Cincinnati. And I think Bulldog and I talked about this one day when you were off, Mike. There's a ton of support there for Cincinnati. And they're in that range where you can find them, 25, 30 to 1 to win the Super Bowl. I think it's probably a better bet to make them to win the AFC because it's easier to hedge that. You don't have to win that extra game. But if you can get them into like a deep playoff run and get them into the AFC Championship game, which is very, very possible if Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase are healthy, offensively they're very, very solid. Their issue's been on defense, but in the last 2 years, don't get it twisted, they've addressed the defensive side of the ball. And Dexter Lawrence going to Cincinnati may be the most important move of the offseason. Guys at Circa, guys at Westgate, guys at South Point, guys at Station Casinos out here in Vegas, all reporting that there are some serious bets on the Bengals to win the conference and win the Super Bowl.
What are the vibes on the Chiefs, or the money? Actually, not vibes, but like what are you hearing about Kansas City as a bet?
There's a hesitancy because, when you look at the market, if you guys pull up your apps, whether it's DraftKings or FanDuel or whatever you guys are using out there, when you see Kansas City at 16 to 1, that basically tells you the books are saying, come on in, water's warm.
Right.
Because, if you go back the last 5 years, they're consistently in that 6, 7, maybe 8 to 1 range. So the fact that they're kind of giving that away, double the price, give or take, tells me that the books just don't believe in them. But then I read reports that Mahomes is like, yep, I'm ready for week 1. So I don't know, man. Like I bet them, there was a stretch when I bet them 5 straight years to win the Super Bowl before the season. And I think they won 2 and went to 4. I don't have my numbers in front of me or my data, but they were there every time. It's weird because I feel like I'm being personally. I feel like I'm being baited at 16 to 1. Like they want me to bet that, and when I see that, I kind of stay away.
Well, I'm sure there's a lot that goes into it, but just on the surface, Mahomes tore his ACL in December, so he's talking about being able to do everything he needs to do, but I would understand people who are trying, putting money down, trying to set trends, whatever, being reluctant to just believe he's going to be completely himself in the front half of the season, if not more. So, because I think he starts playing earlier than anyone's ever played off an ACL or close to that. There's always the chance that there's going to be lingering trouble and whatever. Like, I don't know. I think it's a lot to just assume because he says he's good to go that he's going to be fine.
That being said, though, if we want to spin it into a conversation about price, we always talk about price. This is, without question, the biggest price in Patrick Mahomes' career to win the Super Bowl heading into a season. We've never seen a double-digit price on that kid. So when you throw out 16 to 1, I mean that could be like insurance, right? You bet $100 to win 1,600 and see what happens. Now if they start 1-4, that's going to lose. But if they start 4-1, all of a sudden we're talking about them being favored maybe to win the Super Bowl. So it's all about treating these teams and players like stocks. And right now nobody's buying the Chiefs, which is crazy.
Are you finding time to tear yourself away from these pool parties and panel discussions to bet awards at all?
I have not made any bets yet, but I know I'm going to bet Justin Jefferson. But we talked about that. I'm waiting for my my opportunity because I've been here since Tuesday, and am I old here? I'm on a Friday. I'm like I want to just be home under my own bed sheets, But I will be betting. We'll be betting Jefferson, and again, that's a lot of belief in Kyler Murray and Kevin O'Connell to kind of unleash this offense. But, I mean, all the tools are there. The problem last year is, as we've discussed, they got nothing from the quarterback. So I'll probably play a little Jefferson, and I'm definitely going to go bet Arch Manning to win the Heisman in college football. Not to change gears on you, but it's crazy to me. Last year, Arch was basically 6-1 consensus to win the Heisman, and he didn't have the greatest start to his first season as a starter. But then down the stretch, he was really good. Go pull up Arch Manning's last 4 games. They were insanely successful. That said, now he's 8-1 to win the Heisman. So I get a better number than I got last year. I know he's one of the favorites, but I think he's going to have a monster year at Texas.
First impressions go a long way. That first game against Ohio State last year, when they were shut out until late in that game, kind of just not ended his chances, but maybe almost. Bulldogs, Red Sox figured out how to sweep our White Sox this week. It appears that maybe, no offense to our White Sox, Sam, but there are 3 good teams in the American League: Tampa, New York, Boston. The Yankees are doing pretty well without Judge and Bellinger, and they had Rodon and Stanton and Fried for a while. Like they're managing. Are the White Sox going to be okay?
It's a very fair question. Obviously, on this show, we bet over 66.5. I think we could probably put that in the bank. Mm-hmm. But, there are some people that listen to this program that have 40-1 to win the division. And as somebody who also has that ticket, I'm nervous. I'm not going to lie to you, because I don't think they did enough at the deadline. They're a very conservative organization. And then you look at what the Guardians did. You look at what the Cubs did across town. Like, the Cubs went out and got 2 starters and a bunch of other guys. And then the White Sox trade for a 3 or a 4 in Luis Castillo. Like, they didn't want to mortgage the farm to win, but I don't know. Like, are they going to win the division? I think they will, but in the playoffs, I don't know that they have the starting pitching, because when you're going to roll out Sean Burke as your one, and Davis Martin has completely fallen off planet Earth. I mean, he was pitching like an ace in April and May, and he's been terrible the last handful of starts. So I don't know that their rotation is good enough to make a run. That Red Sox team, though, man, to your point, what is it like? They've won 28 of their last 31 games. I lived in Boston, as you guys know. A month ago, I was talking to a beat writer who said, "Oh yeah, they're going to sell at the deadline." And they win 28 of 31, and now it's like, oh, maybe they'll go to the World Series. Forget this season; it's one of the greatest stretches in the history of the sport, guys.
I think it might be 38-5. Like, since they started the win streak against the Yankees, I think, when they swept New York back in early July. So they've been roaring.
Yeah, I've had enough.
I'm just getting started.
I've had enough of Boston. I enjoy these years where Boston is irrelevant, but here I thought I was having one. Guess not. Sam, you say you're old for Vegas. Chris and I are going in October.
I'd love to join. I just don't think, seeing now that I work for the home of the Bears and back in Chicago, I don't believe I can ask them if I can take the weekend off to go hang with the Buffalo boys as much as I'd love to, because I'm going to be anchored on these football weekends in Chicago with Caleb Williams and the mighty Bears. But I hope you guys go to Naked City, because we were there the other night.
Sure.
Oh my God, the owner texted me the next day and said, "You guys ate 400 chicken wings last night."
We know him, Chris, out there.
I know.
Definitely,
yeah.
We'll make a stop. For sure.
The location they have in Buffalo, I've never been there. I've ordered it. It's always been delivered, but they're in the rotation here. So I look forward to visiting the place out there.
And with the Bills in town, he'll have stuff.
Yeah.
For that game, a lot of people probably. So. Very good, Sam. What else do you have planned before you head home?
Oh, we have a big dinner tonight for the Sports Gambling Hall of Fame at the Circa, and then I fly out. I've learned this over the years, because I've been to Vegas, probably 80 times now in my life. I finally figured it out. You got to leave Saturday night late, so then you sleep on the plane, and then you wake up where you live on Sunday. There's nothing worse than waking up in your hotel room in Vegas on a Sunday morning at 11 o'clock, the alarm's going off, and you got to be at the airport in an hour, and then you just struggle bus the whole day. I leave Saturday night. Last 5 years, I figured that out.
Well, good. Now that we've booked our flights and can't do anything about that, good.
Good advice.
Good advice.
Thank you. Yes,
it'll be early in the morning. I like leaving anywhere from. I'll do all my flying first thing in the morning if I can. So that's what we'll do on this trip coming up. Sam, enjoy the rest of it. Good job with the softball. You hung in there tight on that. Didn't give in with the softball questions. And we'll talk to you just me and you next Friday, and maybe the Friday after.
Yeah, I'm gone for a bit here after today. Well, after mid next week anyway.
Sounds good. I hope the music wasn't too bad. And, look, shots are on the way to the pool party. I'll see you, boys.
Giddy up. All right, Sammy.
I never heard any music.
No, me either. I feel like we missed out.
It's not like talking to Paul before a game where you can't hear Paul because of the music. Not like that. His Bears are at Atlanta week 6. The week we're in Las Vegas with the Bills. For what it's worth. I wouldn't expect him to come out anyway, but
no, me
sounds
either.
like a guy that would be not, you wouldn't have to twist his arm too bad to go out there.
Yeah.
85 times, he said? 80 times?
I don't know. Yeah, I believe it. I mean, that's his world.
Yeah.
Not mine.
80 times. He's like in his 30s. Wow. It's a lot. I haven't been to Lewiston 80 times, I think.
That might be close for me. A lot of
80
concerts.
times?
Art Park.
Okay, sure. Art Park.
Not 80, though.
80?
Yeah, that's a lot.
I'm not sure I've been anywhere 80 times. Scott Barrett coming up at 4. Sal Capaccio with a wrap-up on training camp coming up at 5 Eastern. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here, WGR.
street last night. Said everything's alright. Roller coaster, make it through the day upright. It seems your meal ticket is gone, but life goes on. I could never imagine something better. Yeah, right. Now you're cooking on high heat in the middle of the street. Roller coaster, take me to a better time. Let's go. All sing your high line with the roller coaster of life. Yeah. It's time to all choose your timeline on the roller coaster of life. You seem to easily forget how to place your bet. When everyday life gets you down, you gotta steal the crown. Got to own it. Don't bitch and moan about it, please. God forbid you scrape your knees, and it's nothing to sneeze at. Oh, I've told you over and over.
Points coming up. One of the top minds in the fantasy space. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here. Sal Capaccio later as well. I think I'm drinking out of a vase today. It was in with the glasses, like the pint glasses, and it was just the closest, and there weren't pint glasses.
Like the bottom of that glass and through the mid body. Listen to this analysis of this glass. Looks like a beer glass, but the way it flutes out at the top is kind of odd. Yeah, I don't know what the.
Is this a vase? Am I drinking out of a vase?
What's the logo on it say?
Corvettes of Buffalo.
That's not a vase. That's a drinking glass.
What kind of glass is this?
I don't know. Weird. It's a weird glass.
Corvettes for kids.
You're
kids.
You're weird now.
Kids. Corvettes for kids. Corvettes are still cars, right?
Corvettes for kids.
Drinking out of a vase.
So many disadvantaged young people out there today cannot afford their own Corvette.
This is where this
and
company
that's what
comes
these
in.
people are trying to rectify.
Not for profit.
They're trying to make it so that every kid can enjoy a Corvette.
I think their glasses are vases. I don't know what happened here, but
there. Yeah, I don't know.
I think all the pint glasses are dirty. Apparently, who's here to drink out of me?
That's pretty much it. Yeah. At least today. I mean, it is Friday.
Did you see about that bottle of Guinness they discovered in the sea?
I did.
160 years old or something?
Yeah. They're going to see if they can use it to discover the original recipe or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good.
I want to hear more.
I wish them luck.
I want an update on that story.
I mean, that's an aged stout is what that is.
162 years?
Yeah.
Ish?
Yeah.
I agree. Scott Barrett next.
Final day of practice over at St. John Fisher is in the books for the Buffalo Bills, and before the Bills even took the field this morning, they got some housekeeping done as right guard Osiris Torrance is signing a 4-year, $78.4 million extension. This was made official just about 45 minutes ago. Before practice, we did hear from head coach Joe Brady. He spoke with the media, and then after practice, it was general manager Brandon Beane, and you can listen back to both up at our website, WGR550.com, or on the Odyssey app. Up next for the Bills, tomorrow night is the return of the blue and red practice. It is over at Highmark Stadium at 7 p.m. Do stay tuned tomorrow night from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. Brad Ryder is going to be on the air as fans get their first taste of the new stadium. And do stay tuned. We'll get the latest from practice today, as Sal Capaccio will join the show just about an hour at 5. Torrance, though, was not the only guard to get paid today, as Peter Skoronski of the Titans inks a 4-year, $100 million deal. $88 million of that is guaranteed, and this now makes Skoronski the highest-paid guard in football. And coverage of training camp on WGR is presented by Fiegel Car and Joyce, your board attorneys, by Outlet Liquor. When you need to stock up, it's the place to buy a case. What's your outlet? And by the Barnes Firm. Car crash, you've got to call the Barnes Firm, 1-800-8-million. Bison's home tonight versus Norfolk. First pitch at 6:35. The Blue Jays are at Philadelphia at 6:40. At the same time, the Mets are at Pittsburgh, while at 7:05, the Yankees, they host the Atlanta Braves. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet with you for the extra mile since 1935. I'm Zach Jones for Western New York's Voice of the Fan, WGR.
Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
I don't think that's a very good attitude.
It's Mike Schopp.
You don't think? You don't think? But I don't think you should be butting in when I'm talking to my team. You're my assistant, okay? You're supposed to back me up and go get me juice boxes when I tell you. Now go get me a juice box. You know who you're talking to.
It's the Bulldog.
I'm talking to the juice box guy. You're crazy. I'm not crazy. I'm just thirsty. Why don't you go to hell? No, you go to hell. While you're there, why don't you grab me a juice box? I'm no juice box boy, I'll tell you that. Yes, you are. No, I'm not. Yes, you
it's
are.
Mike Schopp and the Bulldog on WGR Sports Radio 550.
I asked Bulldog if he watched how much, I mean, wasn't going to be the whole thing, how much of the Hall of Fame game did he watch? And it turns out both of us ended up spending more time on the pregame coverage than the game itself.
Right. Yeah, I had it on all night, but I watched the pregame. I was curious about Tomlin. Jason Garrett has kind of grown on me. I feel like he did some work with I don't know.
I still can't believe this.
I couldn't stand him on TV when he first started, and last season I thought he was a different person. So like I'm there for him. So yeah, I was there for all the pregame stuff, and then it's funny, the opening kickoff happens, and who had the ball first? Carolina?
Carolina had the ball first.
I missed their whole possession.
Ask me anything.
Because the next time I looked up, Arizona already had the ball. And I'm like, I sat through an hour or more of all this stuff waiting for the game to start. Turns out all I really wanted was just the taste of it, which the pregame gave me. But I had it on the rest of the night. I never went looking for baseball or anything. There wasn't that much on. There were a lot of day games yesterday. Mm-hmm. Typical of a Thursday.
If you went to the Yes Network, you got Scranton-Wilkes-Barre.
Yeah, I wasn't going to do that.
No.
So I just had it on, but I was reading and playing the guitar and just goofing off, really, for most of the night. But I did I went to bed and I turned it on in there and made it to a TV timeout halfway through the fourth quarter.
Mike Tomlin is the latest TV personality. If he's even going to be that, is he permanent?
I think he's a part of that crew now, yes.
He's the latest guy, shortly following Adam Thielen from last week, to make the transition from the game to broadcasting to rave reviews. And there's a couple things here, I think, not to take away from them individually, because they're both smart guys, I'm sure. One, you get so much practice being interviewed constantly. Like, how the game works. You've watched all the shows.
You should probably, yeah.
There's no excuse for not sort of being prepared for what the job entails. The other is it's super easy. That's the other part of it. It's really easy to do that job. You don't really ever have to say anything. You just kind of have to spit out the usual stuff. And if you do say anything interesting, even better.
Yeah.
We had a guy last night who won a contest to broadcast the Philadelphia Phillies for one inning. Do you see that?
No, I did not catch that.
73-year-old guy. He aspired to be in broadcasting growing up, didn't end up in that career, won an auction to do an inning, and go to Twitter. Everybody's like, this guy was awesome. I want people to know it's such an easy job. Really, like, it's great that he sounded good. It's really hard to not sound good, I think. Here's the pitch. Like, you kind of just have to say, here's the pitch a few times.
I didn't think they did Tomlin any favors having his first interview walking across the field with Bryce Young.
I missed that.
That looked really awkward and strange to me.
You beat me to it.
Just put them in some chairs in a studio. I don't need them walking. It was
all right.
It was just strange.
I want to hear more about this later.
No, you
With us now on the Wester Hotline is Scott Barrett, the man behind Fantasy Points, School of Scott. Two of my favorite things about Scott. One is big brain. Two is, like, he could have, Scott, I mean this is a compliment, you could have like a Theo Greminger or somebody on your podcast, and they could lay out some like perfectly logical, like debate class, some perfectly logical take on a player or their draft position or whatever, and Scott will hit them with, I completely disagree. You couldn't be more wrong. Like, you don't get enough of that in fantasy content for my taste, but I love that about you, and thanks for being with us today.
Yeah, thanks. It's funny. On the last episode of School of Scott, I debated our newest writer, who just so happens to be a former national champion debate coach.
Yes,
so that
I heard
was
that.
tough.
Yes. He put you to the test, and you were ready for it. You say, bring it on to this guy on
That's right.
that particular show. Well, let's start with some Bill stuff here, Scott. Naturally, the Bills are, at least usually, back in the first round this year with James Cook. He's one of 6 or 7 running backs that can go between like the 106 and the 204, kind of in there. McCaffrey, Taylor, Genty, and others. How do you feel about Cook? Apart from just sort of the usual fantasy expert take, which is I want a little bit of everybody, which might not be you.
That's not me.
It's not you. Go ahead on Cook.
Yeah, listen, I was kind of a James Cook skeptic, but now I'm really embracing him in this middle round one of drafts. You know, he did it in 2024 with efficiency. He finished as the RB11 despite ranking 39th in snaps per game. And then last year he did it with volume. He finished as the RB6 while ranking 4th in touches per game. And I don't think you really need to see too much more than that. A guy locked into top 5 volume on a top 5 offense. And he's damn good at the game. You know, like I said, the hyper efficiency, you know, he pops in a number of the most important metrics that matter to me at the running back position. So for some people, you know, you're kind of saying it's an unsexy pick, but I don't know. It just feels easy. And maybe that's what it is. It's not unsexy. It's just very easy.
Well, and this year you might be buying or drafting a little more. We'll see. I don't know how much. I imagine you got your ear to the ground on just about everything, Scott. That the pass game, like he might be Pete Carmichael, Sean Payton, like Joe Brady, and if they're looking for a way to even use him more, maybe more out of the backfield.
Yeah, well, that's the big hope. Yeah, it really does, especially coming out of college too. You know, that's what he was really lauded for, his pass catching abilities, and he's been underutilized there in Buffalo. So, yeah, and that could go a really long way for his fantasy upside. And I think that's baked in a little bit, but at least you are hearing the beat writers out there in Buffalo talking about him being more involved in the passing game.
Scott, how about DJ Moore, the Bills' big get in the offseason from the Bears at wide receiver? Speaking of like an unsexy name in fantasy the last few years, DJ Moore is kind of that too. Just over the years, more and more analysts seem just kind of bored with the idea. New team, though, best quarterback of his career. Is he a value? What is DJ Moore for you?
Best quarterback of his career, best quarterback in football. But I want no part of him for fantasy. I think this was an embarrassing overpay for a GM who should be on trial for war crimes. I think the taco of your fantasy league would have more Super Bowls with Josh Allen than Brandon Beane. The embarrassing receiving core Josh Allen has had throughout his career, and then you pay a round 2 pick and you pay a whole bunch of money to DJ Moore, who looks washed. You look at all wide receivers over the last 2 years with over 125 targets. There's more than 50 of them. DJ Moore ranks bottom 6 in targets per route run, bottom 6 in yards per route run, bottom 6 in first down per route run. And yeah, you have Ben Johnson, like the GOAT at scheming wide receivers open, and he couldn't get anything out of him. You had the rumors circulating that the Bears were going to cut him, and then Brandon Beane trades a round 2 pick, gives him a whole bunch of money. But it's not just that from a fantasy perspective. It's also that Joe Brady likes this sort of wide receiver committee. He likes really mixing up the personnel groupings. And so you saw that when he first took over. Stephon Diggs went from 20.3 fantasy points per game to 10.3 from Ken Dorsey to Joe Brady taking over. And then the last 2 years, you have Khalil Shakir leading the team in fantasy points per game with like 12 and leading the team in route share with like 70%. And that's just not gonna get it done. You really want full-time players. And so, just the confluence of factors there, a guy I think might be washed, and then the Joe Brady committee with wide receivers, this isn't a player I'm targeting in fantasy.
He, like Cook, but several rounds later, is in a cluster of receivers, and I think right around DJ Moore, Scott, is where it gets a little bit dicey. I mean, in the 4th round, you can get Luther Burden, you can get Ted McMillan. People are kind of soft on Garrett Wilson. What a talent. Then you get into that range where it's maybe even Christian Watson would come in front, but then you get into the sort of the olds, Evans, Adams, McLaurin, I guess, is another one. Do you find is Moore just a hard pass altogether? You'll draft a running back instead or one of these other veterans instead? I mean, there's still a lot to say about Mike Evans, I know. But
I don't think he's sniffing those guys. Those guys, okay. They both ranked top 3 in average separation score last year. They still got it. Tons of touchdown upside. I don't think he is anywhere close to names like that. He's just totally off my board. There has to be someone who has him higher than me because I have him in the basement.
Appreciate, by the way, you spelling out average separation score for our show's purposes today, and not abbreviating it on your site. With Scott Barrett.
What about Dalton Kincaid? Really, we've talked about it really since he got here. Big slot would be good. We said the same thing about Coleman for 2 years too. But we got Shakir in the slot. Kincaid's snap count is not commensurate with what he's capable of when he's on the field. Health has a lot to do with that. I don't know. Are you paying special attention to how he's being talked about in the summer to help you find your way to him, or is his usage just too erratic for you to depend on?
I don't know. He's really tricky to me. So I'm the upside wins championships guy, and the bull case argument for Dalton Kincaid is really compelling, really persuasive. It feels a little bit like a siren song, but you look at only three receivers last year averaged at least 3 yards per route run. Puka Nacua, Jackson Smith and Jigba, and Dalton freaking Kincaid. He was putting up low-end tight end 1 numbers despite dealing with 7 different brutal injuries, and he did that on just a 44% route share. So it's what if he's getting a Trey McBride route share? Then he's breaking fantasy. Then this is the best draft pick you could have made. The problem is, again, Joe Brady likes these different personnel groupings. Kincaid, where the tight end position is going is you can't just be good at one thing. You can't just be a good receiver. You really have to be good at everything. And Jackson Hawes, Dawson Knox, they are much better blockers. And so I feel like he's just going to kind of be stuck at this 40 to 50% route share regardless of what anyone says. But this is also the onesie positions. You really want to gravitate towards upside. And so still, I think I'm higher on him than ADP, even though I kind of think it's not the most likely outcome that he gets this big improvement in role.
Tight end 12 in my last draft at the FFPC, Kincaid.
Sorry, go ahead.
No.
Is there anyone else that's at all interesting to you on the Bills roster?
Ray Davis is a last round handcuff, I think, and that's probably it.
With Scott Barrett, Fantasy Points, Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here on WGR. Well, I think I know your answer to this. You like the term, the Exodia players, just these guys who can win your league for you, almost cheat code type things, maybe literally. Who is the team in the NFL this year where you can maybe find the most goodness in this area?
There's a lot of them. 49ers are close. A lot of 49ers guys are like, but really the answer to this question is the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm a big Liam Cohen believer, but it's also you look at what happened in the second half last year. They were top 3 in EPA per dropback. They were top 3 in points per game. Trevor Lawrence led all quarterbacks in fantasy points per game over the last 12, 6, 5, 3 games of the year. He had the 4th most fantasy points in the playoffs of any quarterback all time. And he's all the way down there at like QB 11 by ADP, QB 10 by ADP. And then you have Basil Tuden, Liam Cohen's track record with running backs. I think that's interesting. And then of course my guy, if you're not drafting Parker Washington, I don't know what you're doing. This guy is maybe the most mispriced player in drafts. This is not just an Exodia for me, Mike. This is, if you don't draft him, we're not friends anymore. This guy, I'm telling you, has easy top 12 upside, which you just don't find in the rounds he's going, and he feels very safe to me as well. I'm a big Parker Washington guy, and my confidence in that ties back to Liam Cohen's track record with the slot wide receiver. You saw that with Chris Godwin. You saw that with Wan'Dale Robinson. You saw that with Cooper Kupp, and I think Parker Washington's the next guy in line.
You've got to feel like there's a bias against him just because there are enough drafters who are like, who is this again? And on a team that has, Brian Thomas Jr., and we argued about him, not argued, but we debated him a couple years ago, by the way, based on some of his college metrics. Huge rookie year and then way back down here last year. Interesting. But also, of course, Travis Hunter, even Jacoby Myers, who they traded for and has a pretty high floor. So maybe you get in rooms where there's still a feeling that Washington, because it was so late in the season, is a fluke.
It's a small game sample. He was a day 3 nobody. I think this guy is special. Our film expert, Brett Whitefield, thinks this guy is special. And it wasn't just, he looked good in those final 4 games. It was like the Trevor Lawrence looking like an MVP candidate after like 5 years of mediocrity. And it was Parker Washington averaging over 100 yards per game, no other wide receiver over 40. And again, it's just, I like power law players. I want to chase power law offenses. And this was an offense that, like I said, in the second half, top 3 in EPA per dropback, top 3 in points per game. Vegas has them projected 17th in points per game. ADP is kind of in line with that, but our projections guy, Chris Weck, myself, we both have them top 5 in our projected points per game. And I think that's really one of the biggest edges in 2026 drafts is give me these Jacksonville players.
Even I am guilty of this somewhat. Last time I talked to Mike Dempsey from Football Diehards in here a couple of weeks ago, he's in Jacksonville. I'm like, Parker Washington, question mark? And he's like, yeah. Just like, yes. I mean, just sort of kind of was seemingly pretty obvious to him that Washington is the number 1 there.
The price of the brick is going up, Mike. I don't know if you're following the beat writers every single day. Their jaws are on the floor. They won't stop talking about Parker Washington. So this is why I tell all of our subscribers, try and get your draft plan for early August, right when my draft guide comes out, because these guys always gain multiple rounds in value by September.
What about the running backs there, Scott?
Yeah, so Ryan Heath's Exodia, if he had an Exodia, this is maybe the best fantasy football writer in the game. He's over at Fantasy Points with me. If he had an Exodia, it would be Basil Tuden. I'm trying to pump the brakes a little bit on that, but the argument is just basically Liam Cohen's track record with the position. You saw Bucky Irving set records for fantasy points per touch. a couple of years ago. You saw, it was a valuable role for Travis Etienne last year, and this was a prospect that we were really high on. I still kind of worry a little bit about the downside. What if LaQuinn Allen steals passing down work? What if Chris Rodriguez, who I did a podcast with, what if he gets the goal line work? So I think there's a lot of upside there, but factor in the downside. I'm probably just a guy I'm about even with industry consensus on.
He does have a lot of hype, a lot of fans, like you said about Ryan. A few minutes left with Scott Barrett. You can check out the 2026 Fantasy Football Draft Guide. Find a link to it, fantasypoints.com, or through Scott's Twitter at Scott Barrett DFB. Got a couple other names for our listeners, Scott, maybe not on everybody's sort of tip of the tongue, but where you might find really good or great values in fantasy drafts.
Yeah, so, for most people in their home league, a great rule of thumb is you can really afford to wait at the quarterback position. You kind of let everyone else draft those guys. If you want to pair Malik Willis and Kyler Murray, who are going in like the last rounds of your ESPN or Yahoo draft, and that's who you're starting week one, those are the only quarterbacks on your roster, Kyler Murray or Malik Willis, you are in a great position, because that means you probably have better running backs and wide receivers than anyone else. And those are the positions that really matter in fantasy. And the big cheat code for quarterbacks is you want the guys who run. It's just a lot easier to rack up fantasy points when they run, and both of those guys run. So yeah, if you want to just go, dumpster diving, like I love that. I like that more than, some of the guys who are going in round 7. I'd rather have straight up Malik Willis and Kyler Murray. And then, of course, you're ideally drafting running backs and wide receivers when your league mates are drafting quarterbacks. And that's always historically been a pretty strong edge.
I just did this in a draft, Murray and Willis, literally. And I had NFFC. I had credits, site credits. So I went in there maybe a little bit looser. And that was my tandem, Murray and Willis. And I had some reason, I don't usually do this, but I had some reason for entering the chat toward the end of the draft.
Mm-hmm.
And, don't. But I did. And the response I got was Murray and Malik, though, THO, like that, kind of that's what it was. But at least I can say now that I have Scott on my side for this one.
You absolutely do.
Any particular strategy when it comes to tight ends? I know I've heard you say in the past that you'd rather let it come to you, tight end. But
yeah,
is this year at all different with Bowers and McBride and maybe even Loveland?
If you're in an 8-team league or a 10-team league, get yourself a Bowers or McBride. Also, yeah, go ahead and draft Josh Allen. In a 12-team league, though, I do like just pushing it. And I think it would typically, I'm drafting either Tucker Kraft or George Kittle. I think on ESPN, if I remember correctly, Tucker Kraft is like stupid cheap. And on Yahoo, George Kittle is a good value. And then I'll double tap, and then I'll grab one of these high upside tight ends. So Dalton Kincaid's in play for me. Dallas Goedert now with A.J. Brown no longer in the picture. Isaiah Likely looking like the number 2 receiver in the Giants, no longer, behind Mark Andrews in the pecking order. And so I like that combination where you're insulated in case of injury, because both of these guys, they're probably going to play week 2. Good chance they're going to play week 1, but, right now they're not fully 100%. So I like that combination. It's really high ceiling with Kraft or Kittle, and then a good ceiling and a good floor with, the Kincaids, the Goddards, the Isaiah Likeleys.
Scott, is it patently absurd or maybe even offensive to you to consider whether Carson Beck is someone that people will gravitate towards stashing because of last night?
Yeah, I have no interest in Carson Beck. I don't think he's good. Our film expert, Brett Whitefield, who's, I think, the best in the game, had a day 3 grade on him. You know who I do like? I like the other quarterback, Haynes King. That was really one of my guys. That was really one of Brett's guys. There's a little bit of, Brock Purdy to him, where he just had a ton of experience. He elevated some crummy schools. And here's a cool stat for you. The best 40-yard dash time at the combine by a white quarterback ever. I think Chris Collinsworth called him the white Lamar Jackson, and that's not that's crazy, but it's not that crazy. And so if he ever gets the chance to start, and mind you, Bryce Young had over 205 passing yards only 3 times last year.
Yeah.
Dak Prescott did that in 16 of 17 games. He could be a great, quarterback for DFS. I don't know how relevant he'd be outside of that, but yeah, just a sneaky name to watch. Haynes King. I like him more than Carson Beck.
Very cool. Scott, what's the best way for you to have our listeners buy your draft guide? Is it through fantasypoints.com, like I mentioned, or another way?
Yeah, go to fantasypoints.com, use promo code Exodia, EXODIA. It's a really nerdy Yu-Gi-Oh reference, but basically what you do is you read my draft guide, you win your league, you look like a genius, you have a lot of fun. We got some great tools to make it fun for you, to make it easier for you, less time consuming, whatever you want. Head on over to fantasypoints.com.
You do all that. You take down the league, and then the next year you get a vanity plate that says Exodia 2, because you're Exodia 1. You can't take Exodia 1. Exodia 2 for 2027. Scott, thanks a lot for today. Enjoy the rest of your summer.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. Hey, check out a video dropping today. Theo Greminger and I just did a FFPC draft. I think you'll like that over on our YouTube channel.
Where does he find the time?
I know.
All right, thanks again, Scott.
All right, see you, Mike.
Scott Barrett, Fantasy Points and fantasypoints.com for that draft guide. Not in on DJ Moore, it seems, by the sound of it.
That's what I heard.
He got that across, you think? Yes on Cook, no on Moore, I don't know on Kincaid. So we went 1-1-1 in the 3 guys. 803-0550. Sal at 5 today. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here, WGR.
Final day of practice over at St. John Fisher's in the books for the Buffalo Bills, and before they even took the field, the Bills got some housekeeping done as right guard Osiris Torrance is signing a 4-year, $78.4 million extension, and following practice, general manager Brandon Beane spoke on why he thought it was important to get this deal over the line.
Ever since we drafted him, he's just steady. He started from game one. We want to be strong up front. We talk about that. We want to protect number 17. That's where it all starts. At this point, other than the left guard, we've got everyone else for multiple years.
Up next for the Bills tomorrow night, it is the return of the blue and red practice over at Highmark Stadium at 7 p.m. And do stay tuned tomorrow night from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. Brad Ryder's going to be on the air as fans get their first taste of that new stadium. And also stay tuned. We'll get the latest from today. Sal Capaccio joining the show at 5 p.m. And coverage of training camp on WGR is presented by Fiegel Car and Joyce, your border attorneys, by Outlet Liquor. When you need to stock up, it's the place to buy a case. What's your outlet? And by the Barnes Firm. Car crash, you've got to call the Barnes Firm, 1-800-8-million. Torrance was not the only guard to get paid today, as Peter Skoronski of the Titans inks a 4-year, $100 million deal. $88 million of that is guaranteed. And with that, Skoronski is now the highest paid guard in football. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Headlines. Paddock Chevrolet with you for the extra mile since 1935. I'm Zach Jones for Western New York's Voice of the Fan, WGR.
There was no hesitation when we drafted him, putting him out there. And, he's one of the top guards in football. Like last year, he battled through so much and was out there with every injury and didn't blink. And he's as tough as it gets, and he's kind of the epitome of what we want. Look, we have Josh Allen, and first and foremost, we got to keep him protected and keep him clean. And I believe you're going to win up front, offensive line, defensive line. And, Cybo's a critical component to that.
Joe Brady, Brandon Beane as well, vouching for their organizational decision to extend Osiris Torrance 4 years, big money. Even for a guard, especially. You follow Maggie Gray, CBS sports host?
I know the name. I'm not sure if I follow her on Twitter.
I've never had an interaction with her, but I believe she's a Bills fan. And she had a tweet today after this signing that was like, no team loves to pay its draft picks more than the Bills. Mm-hmm. And I don't think she meant it as a compliment.
It doesn't sound like one to me. No, I don't. This signing to me is another example of something we talked about maybe yesterday or certainly earlier this week. We're always right up against, they just signed Torrance to this. The cap's going to go up again next year, but they'll have new contracts that are hitting the book. They'll get to free agency next year and not have money to make a big move because they keep extending guys like Osiris Torrance. I think he's a good enough player. I understand wanting to keep your line together, because it's been a strength of the team. There are cases to be made for it. But when you continue to not pay a top-of-market contract, but upper third, maybe, contract to players that are, upper third in their position within the league, this is where you end up.
This is Rousseau.
Yeah.
This is Oliver.
Yeah.
This is Shakir. Maybe not upper third, but
yeah, that's 15 is pretty low. But
Spencer
still,
Brown.
All of these players, I think have certainly they've helped them more than they've hurt them. But I don't know. Isn't there a case to be made for letting Osiris Torrance play his deal out and drafting a new right guard and paying him like running backs rather than paying him, again, it's not the top, and it's the 7th highest paid guard right now. By the time free agency comes around next year, it'll probably be the 20th highest paid guard or something.
They got topped even today.
And so, right. So, I'm not outraged, but maybe I should be. Maybe somebody should be. Because Beane continues to operate this same way, and the results year over year have not been what they've wanted, but their model seems to, he says it all the time, draft, develop, resign. And, there's a certain way, a very entry-level way, I think, to measure your GM's. We definitely talked about this yesterday. Draft performance. Like I neither do I want to just clobber Brandon Beane because Greg Rousseau is only so good. He drafted him at the end of round 1. So how good was he supposed to be? He's probably about as good as you could have hoped he would be. And he's paid maybe commensurately. Again, not the top of the market, but when you continue to do that, I just think you're limiting yourself, your ability to do anything else. Big, like substantive, like meter moving. And so I don't know, I'm not sure I love it anymore. Like we're all about trying to change and break through here, right? That's fire McDermott. But here's another example of a guy that no objective person is going to tell you that Osiris Torrance is much better than the 15th or 20th best guard in the league. And I guess maybe that's where he's going to end up being paid in the long run. So I probably should shut up. I don't know, but it's the same. It's the same. I don't need you to go find a better guard than Osiris Torrance. What I need you to do is go find a cheaper one.
Well, a few things. One is that if it need be said, one thing that this does is it keeps the boat operating smoothly, right? I mean, you don't have any. It will not be officially a lingering topic of discussion to whatever extent it would have been one. What happens next year to Osiris Torrance, but internally that can have weight, and these moves by one and then all together help keep things sort of on the rails. So there's value in that. I'm thinking about Kekalainen here with the Sabres, because when we talked about Alex Tuch, or even Byram, I suppose, before he was traded, all right, well, signing them, if it's possible, is pretty easy. You come up with top dollar and you pay them. That's what this is. None of these players that have signed these deals would complain about the deals they got, right? So that's pretty easy to do that as long as the player is willing and you look good. You look good, mostly keeping your team together.
Yes.
Good players.
Yes.
They want to be here.
Yes.
You get all this mileage out of it.
I started to say, I'm sorry, I don't want to head you off.
That's right.
But I lost track of where I wanted to end up. And where I wanted to end up is there's an entry-level analysis you can do of GMs that's based on second contracts. Like how good a draft pick was a guy. Well, he got a second contract.
The Bills have done a lot of that.
They are, they lead the world in that probably. And again, that there is a certain way that is a compliment, but you're also, I don't know, you're paying higher freight for, I don't know, it's one thing if you want to have the best guy. I just don't think it's the smartest way to go about it.
Well, if you go back, I'm thinking of Doug Whaley, first of all, now for this, but some number of years ago, the Bills were lauded for what percentage of their draft picks they have kept. And I said immediately to that, who cares? Really? Is there a banner for that? Like, who cares how many? What if they're not even good draft picks, but you find value in sustainability, continuity, and, they're not bad players, so you keep it going. The Kekalainen point was, where I was going with that was, all right, well, should the Sabres sign Alex Tuch? If they can, I guess. He's important. You take your chances that he's not over the hill, and you can do that, and everybody looks good, and everybody's happy. But if I've got a top GM, which with the Sabres for the first time perhaps in their entire history or in decades, you kind of think like maybe this guy's pretty slick. I don't need to sign Alex Tuch to a contract that probably not in the not too distant future will seem ruinous. What I want is to find the next Alex Tuch. And maybe if he's that good and their operation is that slick, again, then you can do that and pay $4.5 million instead of $11 for a guy. Like, that's what I wanted to be hopeful for. Now, parentheses, that has not happened yet with the Sabres. There has not been that move that I was kind of hoping if they were ready to let Tuck walk, which I think it looked for a long time like they were prepared to do. Well, wink, wink, we've got this other thing we're working on that, is actually going to be just as good or better for us. That's, I think, top GM stuff, is if you can find your way to, not saying it's easy, there's billions poured into this research, but find your way to the guy that replaces the guy, and then, between you and me, who cares if we don't sign our draft picks to above market rates, just to sort of keep the thing on the road.
Yeah, McGovern being signed, thought he was going to leave as a free agent, and his cap hit is completely reasonable this year and next year. $5 million, 5.2 this year, 7.1 next year. Balloons to 17.2 the 2 years after that. They'll probably find their way to redo that or get out of it or whatever, and it'll never be a problem. But my thought when they had to spend to keep Connor McGovern as the center of their line was, well, what happened to Cedric Van Granger? You drafted him in the mid-rounds, which is not unreasonable to do with an offensive lineman, and he's been developing. Is he never going to be ready to play? If he's not ready to play, why is he still here? Go find someone who you might be able to develop into a replacement for Connor McGovern or Osiris Torrance instead of having to choose to do this. And that would give you more money to maybe, sign a defensive end who can actually get 15 sacks in a season, or a wide receiver who could catch 110 passes. I don't know. It just
save your money.
There's just a lot of spending on what is the upper middle class, I'll say. I don't want to say middle class because these guys are better than that. But it's not peak. And I probably have more guys that are in that, not the peak of their position market-wise, but they're in the top third, and they're not, that's a good number for a starting defensive end. Okay, well, what does he do for me? What does he get me on the field? How much of a difference does he make for me? And, the answers to that question are generally, that's it.
That's another.
That's it.
Another interesting aspect of this is how it changes if you have the top quarterback in the league, arguably. Because I think everything else, guards and defensive ends, for starters, are less meaningful to you. I mean, the Bills have had it all through Josh Allen. They're not getting any farther. They've had it all. They had a top receiver in the league with Diggs for 3 years, they really have. Not the top edge rusher necessarily, but their strengths and weaknesses have bounced around, They've got the NFL's leading rusher. And really, I think Allen affords you more freedom to take chances, saving your money at other positions because you're probably the same team either way, probably. But B, it's antithetical to what you think your job is as the GM, because your job is how you've gotten here is to make these strong, calculated decisions based on your own expertise all over the roster. And that your instinct would be to do that, I think, without even thinking about that Allen exists, right? His cap number exists in your calculations, but I don't think a GM really ever settles for, I know this is overdoing it. We have Josh Allen, so what?
Right.
Play Granger.
I would never advocate for that, but there's somewhere in between those two extremes that I think there's a sweet spot, and I don't know. I don't feel like he continues to demonstrate that he can't find that spot, I think, and does this. This is Bernard. It's a list of guys, and again, there's a certain way that you can look at it. Well, it's a good draft pick. He earned a second contract.
Yeah, that's not good enough.
And
I can have the worst team in the league and give everybody a second contract and win that list.
Yeah,
win the offseason. It's like winning the offseason.
So I don't know. I'm not enraged because I think Torrance is he's fine, but I don't know. I did not need that to happen.
It always goes back to Knox for me.
Right. That's the first example, I think, of it, really.
And then there were 2 or 3 other times when it was like, all right, well, that's over. And it wasn't. And it's still not over.
Yeah.
Bob's not gone. He's never gone. Sorry. Yeah, like Knox is just going to be here for as long as he wants, I think. Blocking, no pun intended, Kincaid. And, okay. Well, they do have the rushing leader. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here. Sal Capaccio in 15 minutes. This is WGR. OutletLiquor.com. Visit the Caller 5 right now at 716-221-4WGR. That's 4947. Wins a pair of tickets to see Jeff Foxworthy August 19th at the Erie County Fair Grandstand, courtesy of the Erie County Fair. Tickets are on sale now at ecfair.org. Here's to it. We made it to the fair. I mean,
Yep.
as far as the calendar goes, we made it to the fair. Hopefully it doesn't rain every day like it's been doing a lot of lately.
The extended forecast has a lot of chances for. I mean, I can't tell you.
What's
It's gonna
going
be
on?
a deluge every day, but like from like tomorrow through next Friday, I feel like there's some chance of rain every day in the extended forecast I looked at.
It rained at training camp again today.
I saw. Yeah.
Sal will join us next, and I don't know how many nice days they had. It was only a week and change, the whole training camp itself.
Maybe 2 nice days.
Maybe 2. On this date in 2007, Barry Bonds broke Hank Aaron's career home run record, and no one cared. 756 was 19 years ago tonight off Mike Bassick of Washington. I think he was a Bison.
I did see a tweet about this, and I did notice the number he ended on, and I think I know it, and I always said I never wanted to know, but I think I know, and I'm afraid that now it's going to stick.
763?
2.
All right. Well, I didn't know then. 762. So you only hit 6 more after this one.
Yeah.
Good enough. Good enough to win. Better take that down. He had the record, so
yeah.
What else is there to play for at that point? But this was that 19 years ago tonight. Sal next.
Final day of practice over at St. John Fisher is in the books for the Buffalo Bills. And before the team even took the field, the Bills got some housekeeping done as right guard Osiris Torrance is signing a 4-year, $78.4 million extension. And following practice, General Manager Brandon Beane, he spoke on why he thought it was important to get this deal over the line.
Ever since we drafted him, he's just steady. He started from game one. We want to be strong up front. We talk about that. We want to protect number 17. That's where it all starts. At this point, other than the left guard, we've got everyone else for multiple years.
Up next for the Bills, it is tomorrow night, the return of the blue and red practice over at Highmark Stadium at 7 p.m. Do stay tuned, as tomorrow night, starting at 6 p.m. and going until 10, Brad Ryder, he's going to be on the air as fans get their first taste of the stadium. And coming up next, we'll talk with Sal Capaccio as we wrap up Bills camp over at St. John Fisher, and coverage of training camp on WGR is presented by Fiegel Car and Joyce, your border attorneys, by Outlet Liquor. When you need to stock up, it's the place to buy a case. What's your outlet? And by the Barnes Firm. Car crash, you've got to call the Barnes Firm. 1-800-8-MILLION. Torrance was not the only guard to get paid today. Peter Skoronski of the Titans inks a 4-year, $100 million deal with $88 million guaranteed. And with that, Skoronski is now the highest paid guard in football. The Bisons are home tonight versus Norfolk. First pitch at 6:35. Blue Jays are at Philadelphia at 6:40. At the same time, the Mets are at Pittsburgh. And then at 7:05, the Yankees, they host the Atlanta Braves. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet with you for the extra mile since 1935. I'm Zach Jones for Western New York's Voice of the Fan, WGR.
Just like that, training camp is over. Bills headed back home, and then it's that scrimmage tomorrow night at the new place. Sal Capaccio with us now on the West Her Hotline. Did you have any nice days at Fisher? 1, 2?
I think 2 really nice ones. Today was very nice until the very end. So 3 out of the 7 practices were not terrible.
Kind of weird, though. What a streak we're on here. Sal, what was for you, the top story or the top 2 or 3 stories, if you want, of this training camp?
Well, I think organizationally, the change in head coach, but that wears off right away. So let's just go to the stuff that, on the field. I think DJ Moore became the top story right away. DJ Moore was sensational. If you could pick an MVP of camp, it was probably him. He was very good from start to finish. He made plays that Willie Mays catch you guys have seen over and over again. Talked about it today again. Like Joe Brady talked about it today again because he was asked about it. And the connection from him to Josh Allen right away just looked really, really good. Number 2, I think the rookie class, guys. The rookie class looks, it's coming along at camp quicker than many rookie classes have. And I think partly that is because for years there was a lot of, Sean McDermott doesn't play rookies, which I don't think is true. If you go back and look, Osiris Torrance played every snap his rookie year. Yep. Rookies do play, but certainly with Sean McDermott came you have to earn that trust from him to play him, unless we got to throw you in right away because we have nobody else. That's not been the case with this group. They are drinking from the fire hose, so to speak. Like they're out there and they're playing, and I think by and large they look good, and they look like they're going to contribute as a group more than what we've seen from a rookie class in a while. And I think most importantly, the other last storyline would be, looks like they got out healthy. I mean, today Max Harrison did sit, but it was precautionary. They said, yeah, he'll be fine. You wanted to rest him for a day. Mm-hmm. But they got out of this camp healthy, which is really good news.
Who of the rookies do you think? I mean, Caleb Elam-Zor is probably the easy answer here. I feel like he got the most attention of the rookies. I've been intrigued by Igbinosun, and you mentioned Hairston there, and like what kind of battle, if there would even be a battle there. But among those rookies, who really stood out? I feel like I didn't hear a lot about Skylar Bell. I'll just add that in. As camp went on, like there just wasn't a lot of. Mostly it was he's out here working hard after practice, but like in practice, I don't feel like I saw a lot of 13 flash in my face.
Yeah, and that's partly because of opportunity or lack thereof, right, Bulldog? Right. I mean, the numbers at wide receiver and the numbers ahead of him. Mike, I just did a spot for Our Lads, and Greg DePalma was on, and he's like, "Oh, I just realized you work at the station. The guy who is in my fantasy league, Mike Schopp." I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'm Mike Schopp." Anyway,
what are
I'm
the
telling you
odds that I would be in a league with a person you would come across?
And that's what I said to him. Anyway, the point was he asked me the same question. He's like, what about Skylar Bell? And I said, same thing I'm going to say to you guys, which is, he's blocked by 4 guys, basically. It's hard for him. Now, if Keon Coleman does not, do what he's supposed to do, and Skylar Bell, there's an opening, sure, that could happen. I'll tell you this. I wrote today about Joshua Palmer. I think Joshua Palmer's had a great camp. Like, he looked really good in the last few days, especially. He's making contested catches. Like, this is very nice to see. A very good development with Josh Palmer out there. So to answer your question about Skylar Bell, I think it's really just the opportunity, Bulldog. And he's out there. He looks fine. There's nothing great to report. There's nothing terrible to report. He does work hard after practice. That's right. And I think that he knows that his opportunity will come knocking. The question is, when will that be? The other rookies, I think Davison Igbinosun's been inconsistent. He's been in on a couple plays, but he's been beaten here and there. And I just think Max Harrison's holding him off anyway. I know a lot's been made about, Keon Coleman's beaten Max Harrison in one-on-one. He's, it's a tough battle for him when you're just going one-on-one and running 4 yards and you have, a foot, it seems like a foot, height advantage. And Max Harrison to me has had actually a pretty good camp overall. I think one-on-ones against Keon have been tough for him. That's a tough matchup. I talked with him about it. He said he likes going against the bigger receivers. That, it's not something he sees all the time, a guy bigger like that he has to go against. So, but Davison Igbinosun hasn't been threatening him. I would say that from there. I think TJ Parker, I said this the first few days, way faster than I thought. Way better athleticism, footwork than I thought. Not from like a bend and pass rush standpoint. Sure, that stuff can be part of it. I mean, change of direction. He can get from point A to point B. He's going to be able to run the field. He's going to be able to do anything you want sideline to sideline better than I thought he would be. And even today, you saw him run with a running back today. Someone pointed out to me, like, look at TJ Parker. I'm like, I know. Every time I look up, I see him. We've talked about Caleb Elarmzor. Jalen Kilgore has been impressive. He's making plays. He's mainly in the box. And the last guy I'm going to say that started to show up today because Deion Dawkins took a vet rest day was Jude Bowery. Jude Bowery is in a battle for the swing tackle job. I mean, that's a guy that Tylon Grable has had that job. They let go of Ryan Vandermark. He went to Minnesota. That's Tylon Grable the last 3 years. Like, he could get beaten out here, or 2 years, I guess, by Jude Bowery. That's going to be an interesting battle.
I think I'm fine with that, Greg, mispronouncing my name, because I hate that league. I hate my team.
I'm sorry.
That was a.
It happened.
That was a super flex startup, and I went Richardson, Tua, Watson. Before a lot of like Watson was sort of like a bargain price, and like this will go well. And now I'm sitting here with Tua, Watson, and Tyler Shuck just trying to not drown. So no offense taken on that one, because this league I don't really like thinking about too much.
That seems
the Our Lads League.
Yeah,
not my best work.
How about backup quarterback, Sal? What do you see in there? You've talked. I mean, we know Kyle Allen has a good relationship, a great relationship with Josh Allen. But you've talked a lot about how much the team values Buechele and just his, the head he has on his shoulders and how helpful he might be. Is that a battle? Is that going to come down to maybe like what happens in these preseason games?
I think so, yeah. I think it's going to be whoever outperforms the other in preseason games. I mean, Shane Buechele isn't here just to be a practice squad guy. I know that's been, his career so far, but, he's trying to find a job. He wants to be on the active roster. Kyle Allen has been on active rosters. He's started in the NFL. I think Kyle Allen has struggled. He has thrown too many interceptions, but you're also seeing a defense out there, whether it's the first team or the second team, that we know, they're throwing a lot of different looks that these guys haven't seen a lot of. It's not like a normal, Sean McDermott practice after 6-7 years where you're kind of used to seeing all of that. So, they're trying to throw different stuff at him, and I think he's thrown a couple too many picks. Shane Buechele threw one today. He also threw an amazing pass, or at least it was an amazing catch by Stephen Gosnell, and Buechele put it on the money. I think Shane Buechele, has a legitimate shot to beat Kyle Allen, but it's got to happen in the games. Like he played really well in that Tampa game last year. Remember that, guys? Like, he played really well, and the Bills ultimately didn't keep him, but he did well enough for himself to put himself on the radar, and at the end of the year, the Chiefs brought him back to their organization to give him a paycheck for a game to be to be the starter.
Buechele is the son of the ball player, right? Steve
Correct.
Buechele, that's his father.
That's his father. That's correct.
The big news is probably this Osiris Torrance contract extension. You know, Sal, like Bulldog had a lot to say about just sort of it being another what grade? B grade? Was that fair? Player that the Bills B plus, if that's not stretching it.
Yeah, I don't dislike the player, Sal, but it's another second contract that's, of course it's not top of market, but I feel like Brandon Beane's signature move is this sort of contract for a player that, I don't know, I might sooner say, why don't I just go all the way and get cheaper and try to spend the money somewhere else? Because I feel like we've seen this with a number of draft picks that, I think I understand wanting to keep the line together and all that. I don't know, man. I didn't love it. I just feel like there's a lot of pretty good players that have gotten second contracts on this team and not enough great players getting paid top of market other than Josh.
I understand. Draft, develop, and sign is every team's philosophy. That's what they would love to do. Everybody tells you that. The Bills really try to lean into that. They really try to want to do that. There have been times over the years where they've paid guys and you say, not really sure. We're looking at that now. Is that Terrell Bernard next? They pay him and now you're wondering where that fits. You also have guys like Christian Benford, who look like a great value as the 25th overall. James Cook is making half the money now as some of these running backs, and
right.
So I think there's some give and take there, right? And as far as this player is concerned, I think this comes down to really one other player, and that's Josh Allen. To your point, absolutely, Bulldog, you could do that. I think the Bills' philosophy is we have a guy we know is good, we like him, he works well with the guys in front of him, and we have Josh Allen, and we're not risking him getting hurt. And we're going to keep doing this with these guys because if we go with someone else and we let him go, we don't know what we're going to get, and we cannot afford that with Josh Allen behind him. I get it. It's a lot of money. I'd also say the guy that was drafted also in the second round, about 20 picks before him, just signed for $96 million last week. Matthew Bergeron out of Syracuse. So, yes, it's a lot of money. You could definitely make the argument you could spend it somewhere else. Everybody in the organization, the main theme is we want to keep Josh Allen healthy. We can keep this offensive line together as long as possible. We like this offensive line, and that will help us keep Josh Allen healthy. They now have 4 of their 5 offensive linemen, starters, under contract for multiple years. Deion Dawkins, Connor McGovern, Osiris Torrance, and Spencer Brown. Left guard is the one spot they don't right now.
And Brown is a good value. And even McGovern's guy, I made a point about McGovern last hour. Like his cap number the next 2 years is extremely manageable.
Yes.
So maybe they find their way out from under when it gets to like 17 million or whatever it will get to in 27. So, there's a limit to how far I can go and how loud I want to yell. But I feel like for all the change that they've wanted to represent, it's just another page in this is how we do it. And I don't know. They haven't gotten the result they've wanted yet. And so I just wonder about continuing to do that. I mean, that could be hasty in the form of, this example with Torrance, because I think, he's fine. I think he's helped them. I don't know. I could have just let them play it out and go find another Osiris Torrance in the draft next year.
Mm-hmm.
Easy to say, but do that.
I totally understand. I was surprised this happened. I thought they would do that. You play back the tapes from 2 months ago, asking me about Osiris Torrance and going into his final year, and I'm sure I told you I think they'll let it play it out. Like, I'm surprised. I did not think that he would get paid like this. I thought they would do exactly what you're saying, which is, hey, you know what? Because here's why. To me, it's not left tackle, it's not even right tackle, or even center where the communication. It's not the premium offensive line position. It's a guard. Now, I will say, over the last few years, the guard market has gotten a lot bigger. Like, teams are paying guards way more now than they have before. And I think a lot of that is simply because of the style of offense, the zone reads that teams are in, the mid-zone and stuff like that. Like, you just need smart guys, tough guys, and it's just, something that's kind of happened in evolution of football a little bit here. I thought they would do it and play it just the way you said and, let him basically play this out and see where it goes. But the theme today was we want to keep the band together as long as we have number 17 because we know this guy. I mean, the guy is available, right? He has played, knock on wood, he's played, played every snap his rookie year. And as you guys know, that's a very, very big deal to the Buffalo Bills.
I think the Cedric Van Pran Granger point is the best point, where you have drafted somebody that's not literally his understudy, but somebody that,
right.
You
should
developing
be developing, and then when it's time for Connor McGovern to leave, you should be ready to have him slide in, and instead they had to pay Connor McGovern.
Or this.
You're right. So, and it's frustrating is all. Like, Sal, I kind of wonder if Van Pran Granger, after 2 years in the system, wasn't ready to be elevated to being a starter, why is he even still here? Like, go get another guy to develop that can maybe help you when you don't want to have to pay a free agent contract to your center to keep him because you're so worried about it. I mean, that's, I think, a part of this. And so it's just it's frustrating on many levels, I guess, for me.
I still wonder if, like, Van Pran Granger would be a trade candidate because of exactly what you said. Like, he's blocked. There's no way he's starting on this team. Right? I mean, they made that decision now, McGovern, and they brought in Lloyd Cushenberry, by the way, to be a backup center and compete. So I wonder what that means for his future. I think a lot of this comes down to not just the economics, but the actual individual and the player, which is maybe Cedric Van Pran Granger just hasn't developed the way they wanted, right? And they just didn't want to do that. Hey, he hasn't. So, hey, he's going into the third year of a rookie contract. There's no reason not to keep him around. Let him keep developing, but it just wasn't there. They didn't trust it. They didn't want to do that. Josh Allen can't just go and have, a center that they're not trusting of. And then you have Osiris Torrance and maybe, what kind of player they think he is. And, teams a lot of times overvalue their own players. It's not like he's been to Pro Bowls and All-Pro or anything like that. But I think they believe he's a very, very high-level player for them.
With Sal Capaccio, so what are your thoughts about tomorrow, both from a logistical standpoint, going in there for an event for the first time, you and thousands of others, and then, what the scrimmage is really about?
So I don't call it a scrimmage. I call it an open practice because I think that's more of what it is. And I say that because a lot of people do, and I don't know how much they will scrimmage, Mike. Like, there used to be scrimmages. Like, there used to be a scrimmage. Like, they were offense against defense. We've seen that. And if you bring, like, another team in, that's a scrimmage. I remember one year they actually kept score between the offense and defense. Like, if the defense made a sack, they got 3 points or something, right? So they had score. So just so everybody knows, like, I don't know how much scrimmaging they're going to do. They will have a practice, though. They're going to have an open practice. They're going to do live periods, offense against defense. They're going to be tackling to the ground. I'm not sure. The reason I'm bringing all this up as questions is I don't know. It's a new coach, and what does he want to do? Sean McDermott did a few different things over the years. Joe Brady, I know from today, him talking, what they want to get out of it is like game situational type of stuff with the headsets, the operation, the sidelines. So from that standpoint, you're probably looking at a little more live period. You're probably looking at a little more of actual scrimmaging type of stuff, doing 2-minute drill, doing red zone drill, getting that communication piece down. That is what I think a lot of what you're going to see tomorrow. A lot of what you're going to see might be different than if you had been inside this stadium for the last 3 or 4 years, which is we want to know how the operation works inside a place we've never been. He talked about knowing where the play clocks are, knowing where the game clocks are, the communication of the headsets on the sidelines. Those are the things that you're going to expect when you go in tomorrow. It's going to feel like a game in some respects because the Bills are going to treat it like that. And then I just wonder, like, I'm assuming the organization is going to want all the bells and whistles pulled out because every person who walks into that stadium, they're going to want to come back to that stadium. And they're going to do whatever they can to make sure you're getting the full effect of the video, full effect of the audio, and everything else that goes along with it. So I think for me, that's why I'm excited to see how all of this looks.
Yeah, it was interesting. Here's another reference to your podcast. It's always Game Day in Buffalo with Matt Beauvais. When you had Pete Goelli on, he made a point about how, in particular, tomorrow might be very unique in that, sure, people want to find out, go to their seats, get settled and all that. But you're also going to want to walk around the stadium and just see where everything is. And, like, which food is where and where can I get the kind of beer I want as opposed to all that. And so I wonder if you just might have, like, an almost constant throughout the evening, half of the crowd just walking around.
I agree. And I don't think there's nothing wrong with that. And I think they want that. They want people to do that, right? They're encouraging people to do that.
The stadium is
Go to the
conducive
Charge Bar,
to that.
see what it's like.
Yeah, right.
Yes. So I don't know if I told you guys this story, but when Yana and Max went to SoFi the year that the Bills, they opened there. They've actually been there a couple times, but the year the Bills opened there. And it was a Thursday night, and we had friends there, so we went to L.A., I went to the opener. They go to the game. They had tickets like in the club level with some friends. And, when you go to a Bills game at Old Highmark Stadium, you go in the stadium, no matter where your ticket is, you can go down by the wall. If you get there early enough, you're part of the action. The guys are warming up. You're down there, you're whatever, cheering on the team, over by the tunnel, whatever. And that's pretty much where it is in pretty much most stadiums that I know of. Well, you go to SoFi, they wanted to come down down by the field where I was. You couldn't even do that. They weren't allowed. Once you got in off the elevator down the stairs, someone's checking your ticket. Nope, you have to be in level 400. Sorry, go back up there. Now you couldn't do that. That is not the case at Highmark Stadium. Some stadiums it is like that. This stadium, the one for the Bills, they're not going to do that. It's like, hey, you want to go hang out at the Charge Bar with your friends? Go hang out at the Charge Bar with your friends. Walk around the stadium. No one's going to be checking your ticket to see. Now, you're not going to sit in someone's seat, obviously. It's not yours necessarily. But I always remember that because that's the way it is at some places, believe it or not. It's not like that here, and they're going to encourage it not to be like that.
What time is tomorrow?
7 o'clock is when it starts. And Joe Brady said that he wanted to make it a night practice because he wanted to treat it like a night game so the players have a full actual routine for the day as if they were playing a home night game.
Which they'll be doing.
Because let's remember the first game is going to be a home night game Thursday night.
Right.
After, 2 preseason games, right? Carolina next Saturday afternoon, and I don't know about the other one.
Correct. So this would be the only chance to actually do that.
Right.
Okay. To have what is your home routine? What is traffic? Seriously, simple things like that. What is traffic like coming into the new stadium? You better know your timeline, all those kinds of things. And, the players, I have to check this. I think the players are going to go right to the stadium for games. But for practices, they're still practicing across the street. So everything's a little different.
So is there parking somewhere else than it would be if they were in the field house or something? Probably. They're not going to park over at the field house like you and I
think
would.
It's going to be over, I think it would be over at the stadium, I would think, the new stadium.
All that stuff you have to know. Well, it's good that they're not playing like the Texans or something in this. You want to work it out within yourselves, among yourselves. Right. Sal, what's going on with Aaron Judge? Is he not coming back at all?
Unless there's any reports that I have not read. I thought late August was last I heard. What is the late? Have you read something? And I'm going to be super honest. I'm so frustrated with the Yanks. I haven't even dug into that. I watch them every night when I can. Or the other night they're on Amazon. I couldn't get it on my phone. Had access. The code was back here, and I was like, I can't do that. So I was watching on the MLB stream. You know what I mean? And I'm getting mad watching the pitch by pitch. But anyway, the point is, I haven't even looked into that.
I haven't read anything, but watching their games on and off here, I feel like the last time I heard the broadcast talk about it, they're still hopeful he's going to come back, but Cashman acknowledged that there is some chance that he won't come back at all.
That's right. He said that the other day.
Yeah, right.
That he was not willing to assume he would be back at all.
Yeah.
So, that's
cleared for
tough.
light activity, confident of return this season, cleared to take significant step forward. Well, he's cleared for some light activity. Doesn't mean he's coming back. So that's, I guess, where it stands. That was from yesterday. I'm really upset and frustrated because they didn't do anything to really improve the offense that much. And that's been an issue, obviously, since Judge went out especially. The pitching's been good. It's been really good, but they lose a lot of low-scoring games because they can't score. And now here come the stinking Red Sox, who are just so darn hot it's ridiculous, and they're going to wind up passing the Yankees here.
Yeah, half game back now.
Isn't baseball itself light activity? What is he going to catch fly balls? Isn't that baseball itself? Isn't that what he does normally?
I think he swings hard. He swings hard, Mike.
He won't swing hard. That's one thing he won't do. Right. Or slide into third. That isn't light activity. But a lot of baseball is.
I do think Stanton has been facing live pitching. I think he might be close, Sal. So you got that. Although I don't know. I feel like you've never really warmed up to him.
Stanton? No, but you know what? I kind of turned the corner on him when he had that monster playoff a couple of years ago because he had never been a true he never hit when he needed to. His home runs were always it's 6-1. Oh, Stanton hits one to make it 8-1, right? But now, but he had a monster playoff a couple of years ago. I'm like, all right, I'll give this guy a little more grace here.
All right, Sal. Tomorrow should be pretty special. Enjoy it.
All right, guys. You have a great weekend. You too. Thanks.
All right. This is our Sal Capaccio on the West Her Hotline. Training camp coverage here on WGR is presented by Fiegel Car and Joyce, your border attorneys. And brought to you by Outlet Liquor. When you need to stock up, it's the place to buy a case. What's your outlet? And by the Barnes Firm. Car crash, you've got to call the Barnes Firm, 1-800-8-million.
What kind of light activity would even help you as a baseball player, like on the Aaron Judge level?
Stretching.
Stretching is fine. Yeah, that's good.
Maybe some light,
for anybody.
light jogging.
Light jogging, right? In case you walk in a game.
Maybe a little catch.
A little catch, but if they're hitting fly balls to you and it's a little bit too far, you're not going to bother. That's not light activity.
Right,
that's
right.
Hustling.
Yeah, you're not tracking a ball, fly ball into the alley.
I'm just going to leave that.
Yeah, right.
Let somebody else pick that up. That's not light activity.
Stand there and catch some cans of corn. That's it. That's what you can do.
That's light activity, but that's about the max, I think.
Right.
Catching a ball.
Yeah. Whereas for me, that's like really the most I could do.
That's top activity.
That's top. That's hardcore.
That's peak.
Catch.
Right. What? Catch. Want to play catch? Man, I don't know. Yeah. Let me see. Yeah. Yes. I got that in me. I got catch in me. I can play some catch. 803-0550. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog back after the update here on WGR.
Training camp over at St. John Fisher is over for the Buffalo Bills. The team had their final practice in Rochester earlier this morning, and before the team even took the field, they got some housekeeping done. Right guard Osiris Torrance signing a 4-year, $78.4 million extension, and following practice, general manager Brandon Beane, he spoke on why he thought it was important to get this deal over the line.
Ever since we drafted him, he's just steady. He started from game one. We want to be strong up front. We talk about that. We want to protect number 17. That's where it all starts. At this point, other than the left guard, we've got everyone else for multiple years.
Up next for the Bills, tomorrow night, it is the return of the Blue and Red practice over at Highmark Stadium at 7 p.m. And do stay tuned tomorrow night from 6 p.m. to 10. Brad Ryder is going to be on air as fans get their first taste of the new stadium. And coverage of training camp on WGR is presented by Figo Car and Joyce, your border attorneys. By Outlet Liquor, when you need to stock up, it's the place to buy a case. What's your outlet? And by the Barnes Firm. Car crash, you've got to call the Barnes Firm, 1-800-8-million. Torrance, though, is not the only guard to get paid today, as Peter Skoronski of the Titans inks a 4-year, $100 million deal. $88 million of that is guaranteed, and with that, Skoronski is now the highest paid guard in football. It's Paddock Chevrolet Sports Headlines. Paddock Chevrolet with you for the extra mile since 1935. I'm Zach Jones for Western New York's Voice of the Fan, WGR.
I hate the fighting. I do hate it, but I also would rather them go. And as much as I hated some of it, because I do think we waste practice, I'm pointing the thumb at myself from maybe a team meeting of kind of letting them, talking to them. But I was pleased with some of the rookies that were like, you know what, here we go. A lot of times a rookie doesn't do something day one, and the vets are like, hey, don't ever let that happen again. So, I felt like anybody that was involved in something day one was a rookie.
Joe Brady, I hate the fighting, he says. All right. I'm not going to argue.
Yeah.
Get to work.
Yeah. I don't mind. Punching guys in the helmet, really dumb.
It seems really stupid.
But, pushing, shoving.
So does most fighting.
Yeah. I think even people who partake in it, would even tell you that it's probably stupid.
Yeah, but they still do it.
They do it anyway.
Yeah.
You can't control your temper.
Bisons home tonight to Norfolk. Again, Chris Bassett is pitching against the Bisons. You may know that name. He's been in the major leagues a long time, Toronto. Now he's with the Orioles organization and is pitching against the Bisons tonight. And they're going for 3 straight wins.
Feel that Bison Thunder.
Friday
Night Bash.
Friday Night Bash, Thunder. Do you know, I meant to ask you this off the air, the Sabres Prospects Challenge for September, is it different? They sent out an email today, and it's just 2 games against Boston.
Yeah, I think that's it. I saw something a while ago from a Boston, sort of maybe like Boston's version of Chris Baker kind of guy. That's how his Twitter bio looked to me, because I saw I've just learned that the Bruins are going to go to Buffalo some weekend in September. But it's just those 2 teams.
It's the weekend of the Bills opener.
So that is a change.
On the road.
There's been usually 3 teams come in.
Yeah.
It's like Detroit, Pittsburgh, Boston. Boston's been a regular, I feel like, in that mix.
Or Jersey.
Yeah, but there's been usually 4 teams total that take part in it.
Now it's 2.
Now it's just 2. Yeah, I don't know.
I didn't get that from the Sabres. I just got, here are the dates, and it's 2 games against Boston.
Right.
Well, that's good for rivalries.
Sure.
Back-to-back games against the same home and home, but it's both at home.
I'm sorry I should have volunteered this early, but I just remembered that this same guy, I think, went on to say, as he understands it, James Higgins is expected to be part of the Boston team coming over. He's a high pick a couple of years ago, showed up for them in the playoffs, and it didn't do much, but is still someone that I think they're counting on being a big-time contributor.
Yes, he was removed from that series too, wasn't he? Like he went in and then that didn't work out. Did they take Higgins?
I don't remember.
No.
Yeah. Oh, no, you might be right. I don't recall.
I thought maybe he wasn't there in the end.
I just know he got in at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'd think that our new Daxon Rudolph would be a part of this.
I would hope. Sure. Yeah.
4th overall pick.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not someone we're going to talk about for this season. Probably, though.
Very doubtful. I mean, there's always a chance that he goes one and done in college. Now he's at University of Denver. They should. I mean, anybody can get upset, but they're a powerhouse. They're like a Frozen Four. I'm sure they're a team that's favored to make the Frozen Four. So that'll go longer, Like Hagen's Boston College got knocked out early, and so he came and was playing regular season games for the Bruins. Rudolph, either way, if he does great, he's projected, I think. So he's certainly a contender. He's an idea for Team Canada for the World Juniors. And, if he shows really well there and has like a Hobie Baker level type season maybe, or, best defenseman in the country, maybe not best player type year, I could see, he said, I think at the draft, his goal would be to play 1 year of college and then turn pro. So when the season ends, whenever it does, if he has played well enough, he could be an idea for them to just come and maybe just come in and practice and go along for the ride. But I don't know, the Sabres might not want to burn an entry-level contract year on that because that's what happens there. This is what Middlestad did. Middlestad played, I think, as a freshman at the University of Minnesota and then was done. And came here and played like 3 games, and that's year 1 of your entry-level deal.
Okay.
A lot of players, college guys, want it. They want that entry-level deal to burn, so it's a really convenient way for them to get that from 3 years to 2 by only playing, being around the team for a few weeks. So he could go that route. I guess I don't want to rule that out. It's possible he's that good a player.
The World Juniors, by the way, that's always around New Year's Eve. That few days is in Minnesota.
Right. It's Christmas week, holiday week, really, between Christmas and New Year's is what we get there.
Very good.
Where did you say it is again? You just
Minnesota.
said it. Minnesota. Okay.
Going out to dinner with Margot tonight.
Oh, yeah. Where are you going to go? Somewhere outdoors with a patio.
Exactly. In fact, it's actually being called Pooches on the Patio.
Okay.
At the restaurant we're visiting tonight.
Pooches on the patio.
Yeah, dogs are. That's the point. Dogs are the point tonight.
That picture of her that you
last night,
yeah, the light, the sun, whatever, the light on it, it was just a really cool picture.
Yeah, thank you. I knew it right away.
Yeah,
Hall of Fame game energy.
Yeah.
Which is like her, just like
right.
we got 63 points out of the Hall of Fame game. You can't really.
I know, right? What an explosion! It was like kind of up and down the field for a while. It was kind of fun. Yeah, I'm partial to these little dogs now. Because I have my dog's not as little as your dog, but it's still a relatively small dog, Fred. And
we're up to 19 pounds.
They're okay. Fred's only like 35, probably.
Oh, okay, way more.
Hey, he's sensitive.
Way
more.
Weight shaming your dog.
But those scrunched up, like stub nosed, the expressions they're just the best.
She wouldn't eat today. I've never seen that before.
Waiting for Pooches on the patio.
Yeah, she might have found out that we were doing that later, but usually there's just no stopping eating.
Yeah.
But I put the food. So my wife read, I've told you this, my wife read when we got Margot that dogs like to work for their food. So we don't just put it in a bowl. We have this mat, I guess, that's got kind of all like frayed, and you can sort of pour the food into the little crevices, and she has to sort of, dig it out with her face. And then the best one is like a plastic container of like blueberries or strawberries that you once it's empty, you put, and there's little holes around the outside for the fruit to breathe, I guess, or something.
Sure.
So you put the dog food in there and then put it on the floor, and she waits until we say go. Then she goes, and she has to paw it all over the house, basically, to get the food out. She can't open it. But by flipping it over a number of times, the food
eventually
piece by piece spills out.
Yeah.
That's how she eats. That's hilarious to watch.
Oh, boy. Wow.
I'm not sure my wife wasn't putting me on with, like, this is actually better. It's just funny. I believe that. I don't believe she's putting me on. I think she believes.
No, I mean,
better.
Dogs like to play with anything. So, I mean, when your kids are little, you don't play with your food.
And you can see
for the dog that probably is, just like a chew toy.
You can see that picture I tweeted last night too. She's got like these these paws and the claws there. Too.
I noticed.
She's like a squirrel or something. Or a rabbit.
Her nails looked. You might need to.
It hasn't been that long.
Yeah. Well, all right. Like I should
talk. It's been longer since I've cut mine.
Fred never gets the only. We've tried a couple different times, and they always say we had trouble.
Oh no!
Which sounds to me like he was uncooperative, and they just like, hey, sorry, here's your money back.
I don't know how you do it.
We can't trim these.
How do you trim a dog's nails?
I don't know. You gotta sedate them. I don't know.
But they don't, right?
No,
I
don't. I don't want. I don't really want them.
The dog
drugging
just
my dog.
puts up with that.
Maybe nicer dogs than my dog. My dog
is it actually a
not
cut?
Having it,
not just like a.
I think yeah. No,
it's
I think yeah.
What did I want to say? What's this?
Filing. Yeah, file it down.
That's what I wanted to say.
Yeah. A little dog talk.
Happy birthday. I know he's listening. Alan Page. Now, there's a legend, right? If we're going to throw the word legend around like teams do all the time now because there's no consequences, everybody's happy because they're all legends. Man, if I were one of these guys like George Wilson, who I really liked as a player, we all did.
Yeah.
If I'm George Wilson and the Bills promote me as Bills legend, I quit. Right. I mean, it makes me look so bad.
I don't want to work here anymore.
I don't want to work. I quit. I mean, because not everybody's a legend, right? Just because you suited up for 3 years.
Right.
Alan Page. Now that guy. Now he's in the Hall of Fame, so you don't need legend.
Right.
In our continuing crusade against the blatant, disgusting misuse of the word legend in sports these days by teams
may have been
and commercials.
The first player I ever heard of that had any kind of a professional pursuit outside of football. Like, it's maybe just the right age to be paying enough attention. Like, Alan Page is actually a lawyer. Like, what?
Yeah, he was on the state Supreme Court.
Like, okay.
I believe, in Minnesota.
Wow.
Yeah, he went to the top.
Yeah.
He went to the bench.
Yeah. So, like, that to me enhances your legend status. But as you said, he's already secure, Hall of Famer. Like, you don't need to. But, like, that's just such a cool thing.
Yes. 81 today.
Good for him.
Might have guessed older.
I probably would have.
Gray beard a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
That's the trick.
Right.
Gray and bald. Then you age, and people don't think you really look any older than you did a long time ago.
I'm not losing my hair, but that's what I've been doing with the beard for years.
That's your strategy.
Yep. Keeping me young.
Right. There was how about Scott Barrett talking about the Carolina quarterback today? Haynes King.
Yeah.
That's the winning touchdown last night.
Right.
Haynes King.
Yeah.
Out of Texas A&M and then later Georgia Tech.
Just like Jim Kelly against the Dolphins in '89.
Okay. I'd never heard of him before.
Me either.
Undrafted. I have Alan Page's page up now. I believe, yes, undrafted. And, keep him on the radar. Doesn't like Carson Beck.
Right.
I'm glad you asked him, though. You wanted to ask him.
Yeah.
And he does like Haynes King for Carolina. And I'm telling you, Arizona, we know this. Carolina, that job could come open. That quarterback. Young, how long do you have to go? He said in our interview, Scott Barrett, is that going to be back on or no later?
Mm-hmm.
He said that Bryce Young last year had 3 games over 205 passing yards. Dak Prescott had 16.
Yeah.
205. I watched him in the 2 Ram games. One was in the regular season, one was in the playoffs, and he was really good, mostly in those games.
Mm-hmm.
Stafford wasn't. But come on. You got to get somewhere with that guy. The fact that they won their division at 8-9 means nothing.
No.
8-9 is 8-9. So good that he's got a playoff game under his belt, but you got to get somewhere. That team has to improve this year, or else I think that could all just get another rebuild is maybe in order.
Anything can change. He did look well enough the part for a pocket of the season before last season. I feel like the back half of 2 seasons ago, we were all sort of like, oh, my God. And
after he'd been benched.
Right. And then right. And he sort of, but man, I wouldn't pay him. I wouldn't pay him.
I'd pay Haynes King, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know about that either. But I'm going to leave the light on for Carson Beck. Sure. I don't know what Arizona. I know they modified Brissett's salary, so they're paying, but they're whatever. It's still walking around money in the NFL. It's not like they're paying him franchise money. And, what's the plan after this? Like, see if the guy can play.
Beck is the plan. They're definitely going to see that. They're definitely going to try to find that out, I think.
Yeah.
I don't think it's week one.
They'd be crazy not to. Right, me either. But like at some point, they should definitely pivot to that.
Yes. They also have Minshew.
Because if they're gonna go, and I got no time for that if I'm them.
Mm-hmm.
You want to find out whether you want to draft a quarterback in the top 2 or 3 picks, which is where you're probably going to be. Well, let's make sure Carson Beck isn't. He probably isn't, but you never know.
Absolutely. I think he gets half the year, if not more. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog. This is WGR. If you missed Sam Panayotovich today, check it out on the Odyssey app, AUDACY, free stuff. Sam was with us at 3:30 Eastern from Las Vegas. He's a part of some big stuff there, it seems, including his brother's bachelor party that he was there for.
Mm-hmm.
Did the softball questions work? Did you like that? I really did force it a few times. Four times before asking him softball questions that I mentioned I was going to ask him softball questions.
You did. It was fresh when it happened. I did not see the softball questions coming, even though you had used that phrasing, like you said, quite a few times in the lead up.
You would think
it wasn't that long. It was only 20 minutes, and then we had talked to him.
Right. You would think these would mean easy questions,
right?
Which they would be if you really know softball. They would be both easy questions and softball questions.
I feel like I definitely knew. I was thinking about the king in his court with that last one, so I recognized the name.
Eddie Feiner.
Yeah.
How far apart are the bases? Sam said no idea. Come on. How much softball do you have to play to know the bases are 60 feet apart in softball, unlike 90 in baseball?
Well, I knew
Is that common knowledge? Is it not common knowledge? Softball?
No, I didn't know. I might have guessed 60, but I didn't know it. I don't recall ever knowing it.
How high is the mound in softball?
There isn't one.
Correct. There's no mound. That's
flat.
right. 0.0.
Yeah.
0.0. That's how high the mound is in softball. I don't know the number in baseball. Do you?
No, I don't.
Like 13 inches more? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's changed.
Yeah, right.
And that asking questions about who had the best record in the professional softball league, that's just dirty pool right there, because he's not going to know that. I mean, if you follow it, you might know it. If you don't, you're not going to name. You're not going to be able to name anything. But their website has teams that played like 40 games and others that played 2. So maybe it's like one of those early NFL or baseball seasons where they're
teams
just
start and they don't have money and they just bail.
Maybe.
Right.
Scott Barrett, Fantasy Points, with us earlier. Good stuff on some of the Bills stars. That's next on WGR.
Looking forward to the weekend. Day was Thursday. Today it's Friday.
It's Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
We so excited. We gonna have a ball today. Tomorrow is Saturday.
I'm itching inside. My liver's all twisted up. But you know what I did? I took Deborah, went to the liquor store. I loaded up with alcohol, more specifically vodka, whiskey, beer, tequila, more beer, more vodka, more whiskey, and more beer.
On WGR, Sports Radio 550.